We've had my fiance on the show to tell me why I'm wrong. We've had my friends on the show to tell me why I'm wrong. We've had my mother on the show to tell me that I'm wrong. And every episode, Jamie and Noah tell me why I'm wrong. So I thought, where do we go next?
I mean, you can admit that you're wrong. We might not have a show anymore.
That's very fair. We probably wouldn't have a show because I feel like people also come here to scream in their cars at me why I'm wrong. So I found really the only other person that it makes sense to tell me that I'm wrong in my personal life because they already have the power to do it in my professional life. My friends, this month I have brought my boss Dan onto the podcast to tell me that I'm wrong. Roll the intro. Hello and welcome to 21st Century Cinema. It's the podcast about film and the film industry. I'm your host and co-founder, Joseph Delavecchia, and today I'm joined by two excellent people who have the possibility of making this our best episode yet. And I'm not just saying that because Noah had to drop out last minute. With us today is my co-founder, the original co-host. She has had many names, but has had even more bands. She is also on local radio, like our other co-host. And in less than a year, she will officially be my sister-in-law. It's Jamie Crivello. Jamie, hello.
Hello.
Did you less than a year? Yeah. Did you like the syntax of the intro? It's let's all realize the wedding is getting a lot closer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I give you an update on things, but you knew about the bridesmaid colors showing up today before me, so yeah. And with us today is our guest for this month, the founder of Honeypot Marketing and Marketer Knows. He founded the Nedelko Foundation and has shared a drink with Samuel L. Jackson. Please welcome my boss, Dan Nedelko, to the show, everyone. And Dan, as you come on, you also just let me know right before the recording started that you don't like me using the term boss.
Well, it's true. I'm a Gen Xer who's a little bit awkward with those stereotypical old world corporate norms. I typically do what you say anyway, so here we are.
Which reminds me, I need you to look over some stuff for me.
I'll get right on that after the show. I promise.
Thank you. All right. Dan actually listened to a few episodes and he made the comment about coming on. I don't know if he was serious or if it was an offhanded joke, but we invited him on. Anyways, it was a surprise for Noah and Jamie, and then Noah dropped last minute today. He did have a good reason, but he will maybe be joining us partway through. But if not, it'll be the three of us. We're going to be going through two topics that Dan recommended. And we're going to be keeping with the tradition as well of talking about the upcoming summer blockbuster movies. Last year, it was just me and Noah doing that, and it got our biggest meme of last year, which was me saying Knuckles the enchilada instead of Knuckles the echidna. So we'll see what happens on this one. So our first segment, though, is one that Dan brought to us, and we're going to be talking about popcorn movies. And so just to first define what a popcorn film is, a popcorn film is essentially, it's a blockbuster. Very rarely is a blockbuster not a popcorn movie to me, where a popcorn movie is just a movie that you can watch. It's a spectacle, and you turn your brain off while watching it. You're just there to enjoy some popcorn at the theater watching it. We're going to be going over these movies. We're going to talk about our favorites. We're going to talk about if they can be good, what really defines them as good, and how do you enjoy them? I also am aware, I'm going to call it the elephant in the room, we call ourselves the podcast about film and the film industry. There is a huge writer's strike going on right now, and we'll talk about that next month, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, so popcorn films. The first thing I have to ask both of you right out the gate is, do you have a favorite popcorn film? Like, what's that movie that you'll just turn your brain off and watch, even though you know it's a terrible film?
Well, I guess my feelings on popcorn movies are that it's a lot like music and it's a lot like food, right? So you can buy really bad popcorn. You can get like stale bagged popcorn from maybe the No Frills, not to go down on No Frills at all. but you can get like amazing popcorn as well. So I think there's also a spectrum of popcorn films. And Netflix and some of the streaming providers, obviously, I think Ryan Reynolds and The Rock signed like a 12-movie deal where they just cranked out like Red Notice, right? Which I would class as a popcorn film.
Yeah.
So can I be the first one to say you're wrong, Joe? Is that allowed? Like I'm following the show notes here, so I just want to make sure.
Yes, you can be the first one to say. We have a. Do you know about our catchphrase on this show?
Not precisely.
The catchphrase is "Shut Up, Joe." It's on all of our merch. It is our best-selling piece of merch. I actually had a family Christmas card one year where it's my whole family wearing "Shut Up, Joe" shirts. And it is literally a picture of my face with tape over it, and it says "Shut Up, Joe" on it. So "Shut Up, Joe" is the catchphrase of the podcast.
I want the link. We're buying one for everyone at on the team, so we can go into meetings.
Oh my God. Everybody just in meetings wearing "Shut Up, Joe" merch. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and we've got magnets, phone cases, everything. You know, like you can have your kids walking around with "Shut Up, Joe" phone cases, Dan, like just all around the house.
Please tell me you own shutupjoe.com.
I don't own shutupjoe.com, and don't buy it on me. I have literally once, this is a true story here, I have literally once, like, said something, and Dan's like, do you own that domain? And I'm like, no, and he's like, you better buy it or I'm going to.
Okay, so I do have a serious problem with purchasing domains on a whim.
You do.
And I do fund GoDaddy to some degree, but you definitely need to buy shutupjoe.com.
And then set it up to redirect to our merch page, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but Shut Up Joe. It's available on TeePublic. Links are hyperlinked below. Usually I plug that at the end of the show, but I will send you the link personally, Dan, if you want to check it out. It's
these are things I must own, so I'm down.
I have gone out in public multiple times with one of my really good friends, Scott, Jamie, who you know, who wears his Shut Up Joe sweater in public all the time in the winter when we go out together. All the time. And so, like, we'll just be in a Walmart, which, by the way, nobody shops at Walmart if nobody knew that. That's an inside joke for Dan. I'll be just there in Walmart, standing, looking at me on the shelves, and he's just right there, like, right next to me with my face that says "Shut Up" on it with tape over the mouth. It's really weird when we run into someone that we know who doesn't know I have a podcast.
That's amazing. I think you really got to just, like, that's a hill to die on.
It
should be all things Shut Up, Joe.
Every one of my friends owns at least some piece of merch, whether it's a sticker, a magnet, a shirt, a sweater. Jamie doesn't have the tapestry of the Shut Up Joe, but you have the logo for our show, the tapestry. But there's tapestry and everything. Like, yeah, there's so much.
That's amazing.
My grandmother has a shirt. Like my 80-year-old Portuguese grandmother walks around her house cleaning in a shirt that says "Shut Up Joe" with my face on it.
That is genius. That is genius. And you need that on Instagram as soon as you possibly can. Or TikTok, I guess.
We've gone off topic, but yes, Dan, you can be the first one to go back to tell me that I'm wrong.
So I wouldn't actually say it like "Shut Up, Joe." I'd be a little bit more diplomatic. Although okay, and I want to start this out by saying I have absolutely no formal training. I have no basis of authority to promote any of these opinions. These are solely I just like watching movies, right?
It's bold of you to assume any of us have that qualification.
And who really does, I guess? Maybe Steven Spielberg, I suppose, can say something, or Martin Scorsese, right? Although we know what Scorsese thinks of 90% of all movies made these days.
You know what? He's not wrong.
He's probably not wrong, and I think there's a lot of nuance in what he says. But I guess the point I was gonna say, which is you're wrong, Joe, is popcorn movies I don't think are all blockbusters. Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings was definitely a blockbuster. I wouldn't put that in the popcorn film category. But yeah, I think popcorn films like permeate movies and media ever since they've existed. So I think there's probably more nuance in the term popcorn film. But I was going to say there's really small budget popcorn films. There's big budget blockbusters. I think by and large you're right. A lot of times the big blockbusters are popcorn films, but I don't think as a blanket statement that's necessarily the case. So sorry, Joe.
Hey, I got a Joe you're wrong and a Joe you're right in that. I'm going to take that. That's a win.
I'm trying to be I'm being as diplomatic as possible.
Jamie, what do you feel about popcorn films overall?
Oh, like, do I like them? Do I
Yeah, just like based off what Dan said, what I've said.
Well, I agree with the definition of it. I guess that's what you guys have said, and I enjoy them from time to time, but I probably have a maximum of like 2 a week. A minimum of
that's my
1
max. Like that's like my maximum a month. You know, like 2 a week is.
Well, that's like the absolute maximum, but then there's a minimum of 1 a month, I would say. Again, it's kind of nice to like unwind and just consume, just to consume or distract, but it's not necessarily like quote unquote adding anything to my experience or making me think. I'm just like experiencing. I like when Dan mentioned that there's the equivalent in like music and food and stuff. That's just kind of there to enjoy at a base level. I enjoy having that break. I can't have it too often.
I think my problem from it all, it stems from the fact that, like, if I'm gonna be able to, like, turn my brain off and enjoy it, it has to be something that I kind of already enjoy, almost, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for example, like, if I were to talk about my favorite popcorn films, they're the Transformers movies. They're some of the worst things ever fucking made, but I grew up, like, watching Transformers. I love Transformers, and that's why, like, you know, if they're on TV or, you know, they're just, like, on Netflix and I want to put something like mindless on, I'll throw on a Transformers movie, no problem. Bumblebee, though, in the original 1986 animated film, fan-fucking-tastic, though. But, like, the Michael Bay movies, not great.
Not great is an understatement. Those things are travesty to all things Transformers
Revenge of the Fallen exists because of the first writer's strike in 2009, but we can talk about that another time. But it's...
In my opinion, I would probably say all of the MCU movies are popcorn movies.
Definitely.
I would argue that Captain America the Winter Soldier is actually, like, that one's legit a good... I wouldn't say that one's entirely a popcorn film. That one is well written. It's an action movie.
I would say it's still like
100%.
a popcorn film. The same way I would say Die Hard is a popcorn film.
Absolutely.
But it's a great movie. I think
Die Hard is stupid, so...
Well, Die Hard is stupid.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends. And here we go, right? This is where I think that, like, a lot of the nuance comes in. Kind of like the food analogy. I use that with music all the time when people say, like, I hate, I don't know, Katy Perry or I hate Taylor Swift, right? I mean, it again, like food, you've got junk food, and then you've got like a fine meal prepared by a master chef in a certain setting. But, you know, like, we all like McDonald's. I wouldn't call McDonald's high food fare, but Big Macs are yummy, right? And that's kind of how I feel about popcorn films in general, is that they're thinner on plot, or the plot is very basic. I would look, I love Die Hard. I'm not going to get into any arguments about that. I think it's a great movie. Hans Zimmer is probably one of the greatest baddies, I think, ever. I think that the way that character was played out was amazing. But the plot itself is pretty basic. Bad guy, good guy got to kill bad guy. That's like it, right? Get out of building, right? Stop bad guy. That's it. That's like if you were to summarize it. So it's not deep on plot, but it sure is got a lot of entertainment value. And is it stupid? For sure it's stupid. But you know what? So are people running around in tights, in a sense, depending on your perspective, I suppose.
I need to go back, Dan. Oh gosh. Do you realize you referred to Hans Gruber as Hans Zimmer there in your whole
Hans Zimmer said yes, Hans Gruber.
I am imagining German composer Hans Zimmer right now just fucking trying to kill Bruce Willis.
He would be cool
fantastic.
with that, and I'm old, Joe, so give me a break. My dementia is setting in.
Oh my gosh. But no, I understand what you mean. It's just, I don't know, Die Hard's just not for me. I can't take movies that are just like, which is kind of ironic because I love the Transformers movies like as my popcorn film, but like I was about to say, I don't like movies that are just like kind of like mindless explosions. But you know, like I said, it has to be something that I enjoy beforehand for me to enjoy it overall as a popcorn film. I understand the appeal of Die Hard. I know why people like Die Hard. I think for me, just at the end of the day, the reason why I don't like Die Hard is because, and this is going to play into a theme later on in our episode, I think Die Hard is too overrated. Like, people freak out about it. Everybody calls it the best Christmas movie and everything, and I'm like, fuck off. Just actually fuck off.
I think it's mostly done just for the joke, because it's, like, not a Christmas movie. It's like, oh, the best Christmas movie just because it takes place there. So
I think it started as that, but now people genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I know, but people genuinely believe memes and like look at 4chan on the internet, like the originator of every kind of troll, like the classic definition, just to get someone riled up, right? They don't care what
Hmm.
it takes. I think some of it's there, but yeah, I mean, I think, it's really hard because I think some of it is so subjective. Like I would completely say, Joe, shut up on Transformers. As a kid that was a latchkey kid growing up watching the Transformers and then I probably know the answer to this question, but the Toys That Made Us
Yes.
on Netflix, that limited run series,
Hmm.
which I love that series. I love hearing the genesis and origin story of these things that are epic, right? In my mind, because I was actually like a little kid at the time, 8 years old in 1980 kind of thing. Where you get the real scoop on how these things were created. But I have this love of Transformers, and then I was so excited. Now I'm going to get this name wrong. So who's the voice actor for Optimus Prime
Peter
again?
Cullen. Peter
Peter
Cullen.
Cullen.
The one and only.
Yeah. I think he is the one and only, and just his voice gave me chills when like that movie was announced back in the day. But it went south so fast. Like the first couple of movies, I thought they were all right. They weren't bad. But
The
then they
first
just got
one's a fun
awful.
time. The first one's
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, I will genuinely admit the fifth one, the last night, I actually have never gone back and rewatched it since seeing it in theaters that one time, because that one was genuinely like unwatchable to me. Like even, which is, I think says something when like one of your all-time favorite franchises and everything, like I think with a little bit more time I could maybe watch The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker again, maybe, but I could
Hmm.
never watch Transformers The Last Night again.
Wow. I would say that, like The Last Jedi is up there in the all-time
Oh,
worst in my book, but
it's up there. It's up there. But but it still has like some cool moments, like there's still like some things that like I can still watch and appreciate, like even if it's just watching like the 2 minute scene of Yoda and Luke, because like they brought back Frank Oz with the original puppet and everything, and that's like something like nostalgic to see and everything, because even though I wasn't alive in the 80s, like I was still like a young kid when I was watching those movies. So like that's still a sense of nostalgia there. But like,
yeah.
like just watching like The Last Night and everything, like anything that movie could do for that nostalgia, like having Hot Rod who becomes Rodimus Prime eventually, or having Nemesis Prime, or having the planet of the Quintessence Quintessa become a sentient robotic being as the villain, like it messes everything up so much that it's not nostalgic. It's just me saying, what the fuck did you do, Michael Bay, and why?
Sure. Well, he's like the worst director ever in the history of directors in a lot of ways, in my opinion. I mean, you can't shake a camera more to save money than that guy. It's almost nauseating to watch some of his movies, and the Transformers is one of the worst, where it's like, you're saving a lot of money on your shaky camera CGI fight scenes, but I'm going to vomit any second now because this is too much. I got motion sickness.
The first Hunger Games is really shaky cam too. I can't watch the first Hunger Games. It's so shaky.
Yeah, it is. It
Hmm.
is. It is. But I do like that movie a lot for what it holds up to. And when I think of popcorn, to be honest, I think of a movie that is there exactly what was said before. I don't remember who said it, but it's there just to turn off, and it's there not
Hmm.
to necessarily think and just forget the world and, immerse yourself in a sense, like stupidity, right? It's like,
Hmm.
this is what it is. So some of the ones like Red Notice, which is a Netflix run with Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot's in it. Remember The Rock is in it. They're all in a few movies together.
Hmm.
I enjoyed that movie for what it was worth. Leave it there. I'll probably never rewatch it. Maybe I will once in a while here and there, but it was enjoyable. It had some good lines in it. It it was great. It was good. Like I enjoyed it for that whatever hour and 40 minutes of the run of that movie. My problem with uh, some of modern cinema, and when you look at things like the Star Wars, most recent Star Wars movies, is when I think popcorn movies become a problem is when they take from uh, franchises that do have a lore, that do have a story, that do have a plot, and then they distill it down into nothing, that's where I turn off. That's where I you took something that does have this great story, like Lord of the Rings as the extreme example of that, and you say this, Peter Jackson did the best he could. It held up. He re-released the director's cut. They're each 4.5 hours long. That's like he's done justice to the original source material. But when you take something like Star Wars and then try to reduce it in a sense into a lot of popcorn without holding true to the story and the plot, that's where it's not quite popcorn to me. It's just a bit of a travesty, right? When especially with long-standing franchises, you can make the argument, you hear it all the time in anything DC or Marvel related, those things that do have a body of work behind it.
Yeah, no. I'd agree. There's always going to be something for someone to complain about. It's like I said, I think there needs to be some interest to enjoy it. But even then, like, I look at something like DC or like everything Zack Snyder has done in DC, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can, like, as everyone of this show knows, my absolute, like, biggest thing that I love in comics is Watchmen. And I can watch the Watchmen movie and I can enjoy the Watchmen movie, but I take a step back and I look at it and I'm like, okay, this is a bad movie. But then I look at it and I compare it to the source material and I'm like, this guy didn't even read the book. He read the spark notes of the book. Like, he doesn't get it. Yeah, it's cool to see Jackie Earle Haley fucking deliver the "you're locked in here with me" line. But if you look at everything else with that fucking film, like, if you drastically change the big threat in the end that undermines, like, the entire master stroke, like, it's, like, you didn't get it. I can't say that any more clearly. If you change the big thing at the end, you didn't get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would tend to agree with it, and with that, right? And this is a big problem, I think, just with modern movie making, and hopefully when we get a little later down there, when we start talking about Pixar, etc., is like all of the greatest moments. Like, obviously things are recycled, but you go through these waves of this like recycled material where like something just gets too big. MCU, I feel like it just got too big and too corporatized and it became too much of a moneymaker. And then it becomes formulaic and bad because they're trying to crank it out at scale. But, when I look at those things, and say, if you want to make a popcorn film, don't use The Witcher as source material. Right? Like, don't do it. Don't use Lord of the Rings for the ring. Like, if you want to make a fantasy world that's completely different, go nuts. Do it. You have at it. But why are you effectively, molesting a story that really does have kind of a deep history, regardless of what it is? I think that's the problem. And that's where, you get these, I don't know if they're in a gray area. They're not actually popcorn films. They kind of come out treated like blockbusters, and then they're just crap, right? They're not well done. They don't look at the source material. In the case of The Witcher, where the writers and producers and even director, I believe, came out and said they intentionally didn't read, The Witcher series. That to me is just ignorant and there's like popcorn is not an insult to me, but whatever they were doing there, it should have a different name. Beyond just swearing at it, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, that does make perfect sense. And yeah, I do fully agree with that statement and everything. I will, however, just backtrack quickly and just say that I do agree with your whole thing about the MCU. However, guys, I saw Guardians 3 last night. Actually decent. I had fun. It's worth your time.
I was supposed to call it mid.
Really? You thought it was mid?
Well, it was better than the more recent MCU ones, but not as good as the ones. I don't think it's as good as Guardians 1 or Guardians 2. But I think it might just because I'm tuckered out. Like,
I don't think Guardians 2 is good, to be fair. But yeah, no, I understand. The fatigue is still
I really
there.
remember it, but I remember I had a good time watching it. I think that's most like popcorn flicks or whatever. I don't remember. I don't remember what went on, but I'm like, oh yeah, I had a good time. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, this is good. This is the good, like, what is the definition? I agree with you totally. Like, you're not delving in that deeply, right? It's not like it's not like a psychiatric session. It's just like, I want to watch it. Things go boom, have fun, have a few laps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
for sure.
So with all this information laid out, I have to, let's go back to the first question. What's your guys' favorite popcorn film?
the Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
That is one of the most originally entertaining, like go back and watch. I watch it, I don't know how often, but frequently enough, at least a couple times a year, I'll pop it on and always have myself in stitches because it's original. It's got a lot of satire in it. It makes fun of a lot of things and it's not terribly deep. It's really just a bunch of skits kind of stitched together and it's fun.
Jamie?
I'm not really sure. I guess I do enjoy the occasional like action film. Like I like John Wick. I really like Crank 1 and 2.
I was gonna say, I think the first John Wick movie is actually like a solid film, and the directing for that film, especially for like an action movie, not having that shaky cam or those like abrupt like jump cuts and everything, like absolutely fantastic, super awesome. And then you've got things that have like spawned out of there too, like the fucking hallway fight scene in Daredevil that everyone loves. You know, that one continuous shot and everything.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Crank, so I can't comment on that.
I haven't seen Crank either, but I'll add it to my list.
When it comes to these type of movies, I definitely prefer the more like action ones versus the ones like more comedy, because I find maybe I get too into it and then too annoyed at it if it's not enough substance. Whereas action, I'm like, it right from the get-go, I know I don't need to think about it or pay attention. I'm in the right mood immediately.
I think that's fair though. Like, you know, like as I've said on the show before, my favorite comedy of all time is Clue. And like, you know, you go back and watch that and like, yeah, it's a comedy, but it's got a sense of mystery to it as well. And it's got good pacing. And the MCU has this problem, and most comedies these days have this problem where every line has to be a joke. Every line is funny.
Yeah.
You know?
I find
Clue
often
relies
like,
on
I'm just out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Clue relies on a lot of commentary humor. Like, you have to, I don't want to say you have to be smart to laugh at Clue, but you need to understand the Cold War and what was going on in that time to understand, like, most of the jokes in that movie. And if you do, that movie's hilarious. If not, it's just a fun murder mystery still.
Right.
But, yeah. So, but yeah, like, that's what I think, though, also, like, I really agree with that point of that, like, yeah, action popcorn movies, I think, are a lot easier to watch because, you know, you can just turn your brain off, watch the action, and it's exciting. There's a sense of thrill to it, where a comedy, it's just joke. There isn't as much substance.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd look at Happy Madison movies in general, Adam Sandler's production company, cranking out those, like, they're formulaic for sure. But I mean, Billy Madison is the stupidest movie ever. I still laugh at it. I laugh at like all of those movies, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, I mean, there's a kind of a body of work in air quotes on that. And I've got kids. I've got 4 kids, right? So we're watching, my kids are getting to the age where we're starting like watching Happy Gilmore now, right? And I don't know, maybe my standards have gone down in a sense, just having kind of stupid, funny laughs and watching like really bad animal talking movies. But my resilience has gone down. I'm fine personally with popcorn movies that can be comedies, etc. I do 100% agree. I think, and I always get his name wrong, Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Waititi.
Jamie is a big Taika Waititi fan.
I am. In general, I'm a fan of his. Thor: Love and Thunder sucked. It was exactly too much. Stop. It's, you know, it's like you just put too much oregano in the spaghetti sauce. All I can taste is oregano. Like everything is a yuck joke, right? And it loses the fun. It's just too much of a good thing.
Okay, now that you've steered the ship this way, Dan, I have to ask, what projects of Taika Waititi's do you like? Because this has been an ongoing debate on this show.
I don't really know enough, to be honest.
Okay. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
Okay, you're going to have to
Joe,
watch it.
You're the only person that doesn't like that movie.
I need to find another person that doesn't like it.
That movie.
I need to find another person that doesn't like it. Oh my God.
It was so good. They made like a 5-season show based off of it. That
From what I've heard, the show
love.
is a lot better. Like, but it's I
they're both so good.
No,
they're just different.
But I will say though, I did love Jojo Rabbit. I thought Jojo Rabbit was phenomenal. It's one of my favorite films of that year.
I very much enjoyed Jojo Rabbit. In terms of, you know, like Ragnarok, I think was what he did so well with that movie, and just not looking at his entire body of work, but maybe just lensing it a little bit more on what I do know. Ragnarok was really, really effective at bringing that bright, campy, kind of comic book vision into reality, where, of all of the MCU movies, it's definitely like the lightest or right up there, right? I mean, we could debate anything, but I think the thing that he did so well was really balancing a plot that continues the MCU storyline during that phase and having the right amount of jokes placed really, really intelligently, and it made that movie super enjoyable. I think I've seen that movie like a dozen times, and I could watch it again and again and still get the laughs, but I could not even – I made it through Love and Thunder painfully so. And it felt like the polar opposite on that for me. Jojo Rabbit was really great. The Jojo Rabbit kind of, I don't know why, but I felt like a Guy Ritchie vibe a little bit. I don't know why. It was just maybe Wes Anderson. It was a little quirkier. It was more creative, smaller budget. And like with the original Matrix, sometimes the big problem is getting the big budget, right? And with those types of films, they lose that control.
See, I hate Ragnarok.
Oh, you sinner. Okay.
I thought Love and Thunder was better than Ragnarok, but I also still hated Love and Thunder. I hate both of them. I hate every Thor movie. There's not a Thor movie that I like.
You have a dark hole in your soul.
I don't have a dark hole in my soul, Dan. Why is the God of Thunder, who controls lightning, paralyzed by lightning every 5 seconds in that film?
Oh, who cares?
I fucking do.
Good.
This is the perfect example of a popcorn movie. Don't think about it. Just enjoy it. It's funny and you don't get dragged out of it. You just watch it and have a good time. Don't think too much about the technical side of things.
This is the perfect segue to my next question, which is, and this has been a question ongoing on the show, so Dan, I'll let you message first. Is it okay for a film to have no plot? Is it okay for the plot to just not make sense or not work?
I mean,
I say no.
Yeah, you say no. Okay. And again, I'll kind of fall back on the nuance thing. I think it depends on how far the plot needs to go. So I'll go back to like Shaun of the Dead, which is a movie that I personally love. Is that rife with the deep plot? No, of course it's not. But it's done in a way that is more like improv sketch comedy, Second City style, bits that are put together in an intelligent way that does tell a story. It's not a deep story. So I guess the thing, is it okay to have no plot? No, because then the movie's just crap, right? It's got to lead you from point A to point B to point C. It's got to walk you through some kind of a story, how deep that story needs to go. So if the fundamental is there that I'm leading you through a story, and I think the other thing about no plot is, did the director and the writers and the actors collectively lead you to some destination from the beginning to the end? Whether that destination is we want to make you laugh, right? Or like John Wick 4 or whatever, 3.5 hours or something, 3 hours and 20 minutes of pretty much like one continuous like fight scene. I haven't seen it, but hey, if you're into that, it's fun, right? And so I think yes, it's okay to not have a deep plot. You do have to have some plot though, and that's where
I agree with you. As long it's okay for I don't need to go and see every film expecting it to be an Oscar film, but what the world you put me in and the world you establish and the plot you decide to tell me, it has to coherently lead from A, B, and C. It has to make sense, and there has to be reasoning for me. My biggest thing that I hate about modern movies, and I brought this up a few times, is the crime of Deus Ex Machina, which is something in the plot happens for no good reason. There's no reason for this happening. This just happens for the sake of the plot to advance the story. And it's such lazy writing. It's so terrible. It's almost as lazy as how lazy Rian Johnson wrote A Glass Onion. So that's my big thing where it comes down to it is we're I'm okay if the plot is weaker than, let's say, an Academy Award winning film, like a Saving Private Ryan or something where, you get deep and emotional with that, or something that goes for a more powerful and in-depth, like the Godfather or the Shawshank Redemption. But it can't be something where, you just kind of watch it and it's so convoluted. It doesn't make any sense. You're bouncing like Batman versus Superman. Like, what the fuck was even happening in that film?
Nothing.
Nothing. It makes no sense. This whole master plan of Lex Luthor, like, there's nothing there.
Well, I would argue. Oh, sorry, Jamie. I think it's your turn to go.
I was just going to say, Joe's original statement is a lie. Joe, you love things with no plot. I think you just don't like when there's an issue in the plot, because I know you love coming-of-age movies. Those are always, there's no plot.
There's a plot! Like, there's a plot to a coming-of-age film.
No, but they're not about the plot, not plot-heavy. I know you love slice-of-life sitcoms. I know you and Katie are always watching these sitcoms that are about nothing, go nowhere, 9 seasons, characters are in the same, more or less the same, like, situation. You love that.
I love
Don't try to say you don't love no plot. I think you just don't like plot holes.
Plot holes do rub me the wrong way more, but I think also the difference there, so we're talking about movies and TV. It's very different, and I'm gonna reference the final episode of Community here, where,
I know.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point before we go on to the Breakfast Club, which is that Ovid says that, like TV, its job is to be comforting and its job is to be there for you. And it's okay for it to phone in the day or to need a day off. And it's okay to get on a boat with LeVar Burton and never come back. Like, that's TV. TV and movie are different, and I watch those things because of that, like, it's comforting. It's fun to watch. And there is an overarching plot, but yeah, a lot of like the sitcoms that I watch, you are right, they don't really go anywhere too much. And if there is character development, it's the long game. Or there's shows like Seinfeld and Friends where there really isn't any character development across the entire series. But when I go to like the movie theater to see a movie, I'm in a different headspace for that, A, but also B too, like, I need, like, there's a reason why I'm there. There's a reason why I watch something. And when I say, like, lack of plot not being okay, like, I'm okay, like I said, if a plot is a lot lighter. And, like, even if I'm watching, like, an episode of Friends, where, like, like, here's the problem, here's the rising action, that gets to the climax, here's the solution, and we're done the episode. Same thing with a movie. It needs to follow, like, that storytelling structure. And even if it mixes it up a little bit to tell it in a creative way, that's fine. It's when it doesn't make sense, which I guess you are right now that I said out loud is technically more of a plot hole. Like, yeah, I guess I have long-winded convinced myself to yield to your argument.
I was gonna say.
But yeah, it is very much just the fact, like, it doesn't make sense or it happens for no good reason. So yeah, so I will yield to you, Jamie. You are correct. But the Breakfast Club and coming-of-age films, I disagree with that statement.
So I knew this was
Wait, I was about to
come
bring
up.
up that example of the Breakfast Club. There is no plot in the Breakfast Club. So when you're like, oh no, Coming of Age has a plot, I was gonna be like, well, I know your favorite or one of your favorites is the Breakfast Club. There is no plot. It's a situation they're in. There is no from A to B. I disagree that there's character development.
There's so much character development.
There is no plot.
We can go down this rabbit hole for hours, but Joe, we know that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to talk about that. So you can argue about the characters, but there is no plot. They're just there, and nothing happens. It's just them talking and character development, which I would disagree on, but we can't get into that.
Yeah,
like
that's a whole episode, I'm sure.
It's been an episode already. That's the thing, and we're still not getting anywhere on it.
Sure, I actually would tend to agree with Jamie a little bit on that. Is that the plot, strictly the plot, Joe, in the Breakfast Club is very simplistic. It's an all-day detention. That's all it is.
I'm not saying that it's the plot itself is deep. The plot is very simplistic, but the plot makes sense.
Yes. Okay. I would concede that. Like Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the best thing about that movie is that it's Seinfeld before Seinfeld happened. That movie's about fucking nothing. That movie is literally about a day off. And it's so much fun, and it has great character development, it has great moments, it has meaning, and it has moments that are, like, very, like, near and dear to me. Like, I fucking have a Ferris Bueller quote tattooed on my arm that was a very big, kind of like driving force for when I was coming of age. Like, so I get it. Plots can be simplistic. That's okay to me. Like, but it's just when they don't make sense. Yeah, and fuck you, The Breakfast Club is character development.
I like that you've mended your statement. Originally, I was trying to say that because I was going to bring up as an example as no plot, but now it's that you don't like when there's problems in the plot.
Yeah,
which I
no,
think
no,
is
fair.
fair.
I didn't explain my point well the first time, and I worded it wrong. I will concede to that.
Yeah. And I'll land halfway between both of you. I think The Breakfast Club, like, I mean, that was one of my actual coming of age movies because that was like literally I was that age, right? When it came out and it was a huge movie. Like Judd Nelson was, everybody wanted to be Judd Nelson and whatever. Anyways.
Obviously, he's Rodimus Prime.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think, the Breakfast Club plot is very simplistic. I actually do think there's quite a bit of character development and character progression throughout that movie that really breaks down stereotypical high school norms of the jock, the freak, right? The goth, you know, like keep going, right? Everybody is in that movie. The thing I love about that, and I know this could open up a can of worms, is that everybody walks in as a stereotype. It's very much like high school. It's like that guy's good at football, so he's a jock, right? And that girl wears black, so she's a goth, right? Or whatever. And it throughout the course of that movie, it fairly, I think there's more nuance to it than on the surface, but they all break down into, hey, we're all teenagers here. We can all get along. Like we're human beings and we have connections, right? So that's where I land on The Breakfast Club. The plot's super simple, and sometimes that plot being super simple works in the favor of character development, right? Because Occam's razor, really.
They all realize that they're a lot more similar than they think.
Yep. For sure. But again, you know, like if you go back and look at classics, like Casablanca was literally a popcorn film. They shot that thing in 96 hours?
Yeah.
It was like a 4-day shoot, and, you know, magic just happened. So I think popcorn is going to be a part of popular culture in general, and it should be. There's a place for it, just like there's a place for the Backstreet Boys and Katy Perry and whatever, Dua Lipa, I guess, just to be a little bit more current. But then, you know, there's also going to see live music from Yo-Yo Ma, right? Like going to there's that spectrum is going to exist no matter what. And it's good that we have that spectrum. I agree that the worst popcorn films are when it's like that, the thing that sits at the weird gray area of everything. It's not quite popcorn, right? And it's trying to take from lore, and it's pulling from all of the wrong directions. And that's when actually, well, there's a couple of movies below in some of the notes to talk about that I have personal opinions on. But I personally think popcorn films are good for the soul. It's good not to overanalyze. And I just wanted to make one more point that you kind of brought up there, Joe. I actually think direction is less important. It's very important, but with a good slate of actors, the writers and the writing is the core of it. If you don't have that as the foundation when they're on a set working through those scenes, and a great actor and a great director, but backed by great writers, where all of them are collaborating to bring that together, I think when that works, you get movies like Die Hard. You get the popcorn films that people do kind of talk about, right? That become, air quotes, classics that way. And so, to your point, I know you've been walking around the writer's strike thing. Without the writers, the whole thing falls apart. And we've seen it before, and we're seeing it now, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. The Writers Guild would actually like you to come and speak on their behalf, Dan, to Disney and all the other companies right now, because that's actually one of the big things that they're battling against right now, is that one of their big things is that AI cannot replace us, and companies won't accept that. But you're right, you need a team of collaborative writers. As great as AI is making advancements and doing some really cool shit these days, AI is not going to replace an entire fucking group of writers unless they're writing a fucking mindless blockbuster. And even then, it's still going to need, those human edits.
Oh, yeah. There's no shot that again, we not to go down a rabbit hole, but the part of GPT is the transformative part. That's the T in GPT. Basically, that AI is designed to tell human beings what we want to hear. So we really like what we hear when we first see it. That's the point. That's part of how that AI works. So someday in some universe and at some point, maybe AI will start generating creatively, but up until this point, it's just transforming what human beings, and it has sources for, and it can go off in other directions, but it's not going to replace that unknown of human artistic talent. And I think the important thing on that collaboration part is you can have a great writer and a shit director and shit actors, you got a shit movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can have a great director and great actors and shit writer, you're going to have it. Like those components that go together, I think you need all of them together. Like not one in place of another. Without all of it working together, the whole thing falls apart, right? And like, I mean, I don't even necessarily want to go down the route of like what, like Disney and what happens when mega corporate interests take place is that's like the death knell. Like it might as well be a guillotine on the neck of like poor Jon Favreau, right? And Dave Filoni. Like those two guys, are trying to create something with what seems like from the outside, a pretty toxic corporate double speak backstabbing, lots of self-interest environment with huge dollars at stake, and that's when it becomes an issue. And so, one of the other things that about popcorn films is when they're not the massive budgets, I think they tend to do better overall. They're like, as a body of like, if you were to take the bracket of big budgets, right, that flop or fly versus smaller budgets, I think the smaller budgets would win every time on popcorn films.
Look at fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, on paper, that is the biggest fucking popcorn film. Like, it's absolutely wild. First, tell me that an AI could write something, like, as crazy as that. But B, it's a smaller budget with a smaller production company, which, by the way, A24 is killing it. I recommend everybody watch out for A24 in the coming years, especially after last year, because that film was one of the best, if not the best fucking film of last year, and it won Best Picture. Like... That does just go to show you, like, there is that subverting expectations, like you said, and magic happens, like, with Casablanca.
Yeah, and the original Matrix, right? Really small budget film. Amazing. I was at the premiere when it came out, where everyone was so excited about this movie. It doesn't have a ton of, like, special effects in it. And then look at the rest of the Matrix when they got the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
the best by far. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So...
Right. I think we've covered popcorn film, guys. I expected that to be our short segment. But okay, so moving on, we're gonna get into our tradition right now of breaking down the summer blockbusters. So, Dan, how this usually works is, I have listed out the top 12 most popular upcoming films for this summer blockbuster season, and summer blockbusters run from May to August, so they've already started rolling out, the first big one of the year being Guardians of the Galaxy. And so we're just going to kind of go through all the upcoming ones, and we're going to just give a quick synopsis, and if anyone has some quick thoughts they want to jot down because of just some of these are franchises or some of these are projects that have been in development for a while that are based off of things that we love, we can talk about them pretty quickly. I will give the disclaimer that The Little Mermaid is on here, and I did go into detail about that in one of our previous episodes, so I will try to not go off the rails too much about The Little Mermaid this week, okay? All right.
Yeah.
Starting it off is Fast X, and I was kind of hoping Noah would be here because, as longtime listeners of the show know, Noah is obsessed with Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa is making his Fast debut in Fast X. It's the 10th time around the track for the Fast and the Furious franchise. Vin Diesel's Dom Toretto claims he's all about family, and then a new villain, Jason Momoa, shows up with a blood challenge. How do you choose the ones you save? The series has already launched a car into space. So will it need to up the ante in burning rubber and bullets? And that's the synopsis for Fast 10.
You sounded impassioned when you were reading that very last part.
Yeah. They shot a car into space, guys. I think I've said it before. I've said it again. These movies aren't even about cars anymore. They've lost their way. I don't understand why people enjoy it so much. I once had a boss when I was in college. I worked at Walmart, and my department manager once came up to me and told me that Fast and the Furious 5 was like the best not only the best Fast and the Furious, but the best like movie of all time. And I was like, you should watch a movie, because it's not. But yeah, like it's just like they've gone off the rails. They don't know what the hell they're doing anymore. I've watched some of them, like I've enjoyed like watching and turning my brain off to which one was it? The one where Paul Walker, like when he died, that one and everything. I watched that one because everybody was like, oh my gosh. And you know what? Overall, they wrote a half decent like blockbuster story and everything. It's nothing to write home about, but even how they paid tribute to him in the end, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I had a decent time at this one. But besides that, like, I'm just, fuck these movies. Like, why are we still making them? Why is everybody still all about them? They shot a car into space.
Elon Musk did that first, by the way.
He did do that first, yes.
So they're just
So
copying.
if we're comparing Fast and the Furious to Elon Musk, I think that says enough. Fuck.
I mean, my 2 cents on the entire Fast and Furious franchise is I'm not really a car guy. The original ones, I mean, I think I saw the first 3 or 4. I can't remember. I didn't go to the theater to watch them. Like I'm not even that invested in it. But having seen what I've seen from the early ones, it was a lot about, people driving cars and drifting and doing cool stuff, Need for Speed style or GTA, Grand Theft Auto. They weren't bad. If you're into that kind of thing, we're okay. It's like time to put a pin in it, but I think they just keep making it because you can't underrate like the NASCAR community. Like they filled Talladega Nights to the tune of like 140,000 people, right, on a Friday night. I think as long as they can turn a profit on it, they're never going to stop, right? I think we're Fast and Furious or that whole franchise. As long as they can produce them and make them for enough money and make enough money, I think they'll keep doing it forever and just keep recycling. That's my take on it. Not really interested at all.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And then it also like makes me think like also too like why aren't we doing this with actual things that like will always make money that we'd enjoy? Like nothing has been done with the Peanuts franchise in almost 10 fucking years. Like everybody loves the Peanuts. Everybody loves the Peanuts. Okay? They're a fucking staple. Everybody knows who fucking Charlie Brown and Snoopy are. And we're not fucking milking that for all it's worth. Like, I don't get how there's nothing being done with that IP, but we're still getting a Fast and the Furious movie.
Yeah. Well, how about writers? Like they let the writers write original content. Why don't they look at new things?
Why don't they look at fucking new things? This is my whole rant with the Little Mermaid. Like, why are we doing this? But we'll get there. We'll get there. Jamie, how do you feel about Fast and the Furious 10?
I've never seen a single Fast and the Furious movie, but to my knowledge, it's not about cars, and it hasn't been for a long time. It's been more about, like, quote-unquote found family. That's kind of cheesy, over the top, and I think people like it for the same reason they like MCU movies. I haven't seen one, so I can't really say, is it better, is it worse, but I think it's in the exact same theme and, what do you call it, wheelhouse type of situation.
That's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
Where people who like superheroes would drift towards the MCU, people who like cars, they would probably prefer like Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And in some ways, like the old classic like pirate serials that they used to, in the 50s and 60s, the kind of inspiration for Pirates of the Caribbean. It's kind of a modern take on that. Like crank it out, put more cars in, we'll figure out a plot. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Our next film is The Little Mermaid. The youngest of King Triton's daughters, Ariel, is a beautiful and spirited young mermaid with a thirst for adventure. Longing to find out more about the world beyond the sea, Ariel visits the surface and falls for the dashing Prince Eric. Following her heart, she makes a deal with the evil sea witch, Ursula, to experience life on the land. Shockwaves greeted the news that black singer Halle Bailey would star as Mermaid Princess Ariel in Disney's live-action version of the 1989 classic. Get over it, said Daryl Hannah, who played a mermaid in Splash, in her tweet. Don't be a racist dork. With Melissa McCarthy as the sea witch who makes Ariel human, this Little Mermaid looks to be a big winner, is what some critics are saying. And by critics, I mean people who Disney paid off. I'm tired. I'm tired of.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the remakes. I'm tired of the live action things. Like, stop. We need to stop this crediting animation. And also just the fact, too, of, like, the Little Mermaid, like, if you take fucking scenes from the trailer and scenes from the actual Little Mermaid, like, the original Little Mermaid is vibrant. Like, yes, it's still, like, it's got its gloomy tones and everything, but it conveys that in the filters that I use and the colors. And in those happy moments, there's that vibrant color. Everything here looks like it's been fucking grayscaled, okay? It's so bland. It's not full of life whatsoever. And it's just so stupid to just milk this fucking idea. Like, there are so many original ideas out there and so many people trying to do different things, and Disney has the money to make these things happen, but we're getting The Little Mermaid again. Which, by the way, it's a movie that, like, it's in 2023, why are we putting out a movie that is literally about, as long as you have your looks, girls, you're gonna be okay. It doesn't matter if you can talk. Like, why are we putting that into theaters? Why, guys? Why?
I mean, I'm with you on, like, I am always shocked because always been a huge fan of animated film. I like going all the way back to the original, right? Like right back to the early days. What kills me in Western culture is the complete lack of respect that animation gets from the general public and from the movie making industry. It's like, why is The Lion King turned into a CGI? Like, that to me is one of the seminal Disney films. It really is. It's from
my favorite one of all time. Yeah,
a golden age, right? Like when The Little Mermaid came out, and Aladdin, and The Lion King, and then The Lion King adapted into an amazing musical that I've seen like 4 times in 4 different locations. Why are you telling the exact same story in a live action when it was originally conceived as an animation? And you can see in the original Lion King and the original Little Mermaid, the expressions that the animators put into the characters are not realistic, but they convey so much, right? I just have turned blinders onto this because it is obviously a formulaic approach that Disney is taking, and it sucks. And it does nothing but be really divisive, to your point about it just being, it's dark, it's stupid, there's no point to it. The only thing I can think of is just box office draw on recycling IP, right? And it's really unfortunate because I don't really see any. You had a great reference there. Daryl Hannah played a mermaid in Splash. There's no history to Splash. It was just a movie, and it was a good movie. It was all right. Like, it wasn't a classic, I don't think, personally, but yeah, I just think they just need to stop and just get creative again. Especially Disney and Pixar and Disney Animation Studios. I mean, some of our greatest stories in modern popular culture come from, the golden ages, if you will, of Disney. I feel like we're just in a depression for Disney, and hopefully it's going to turn around.
But Frozen 3.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. Maybe. But again, like, they could come up with more of those animated stories. Like, even Up was a great movie, or Inside Out. Those are great movies. They're very. Inside Out. Oh, Inside Out. Someday when you have kids, Inside Out is a phenomenal movie for explaining to kids in a way that's pretty shocking how to deal with emotions. So maybe it's just not for you. I've had various feelings on it, but over the years, I've kind of developed an affinity for that particular movie. So anyways, that's all I have to say on Little Mermaid, I think.
Jamie and Noah believe that I have a problem in assuming that every movie is made for me.
Yeah, like, you'll get mad if, say, Inside Out, for example, you'll be like, I don't like that movie, that's a bad movie. Instead of being like, oh, kids love that movie, people love that movie, other people get value out of it. And sometimes you just label things as a bad movie. But anyways, on this topic of remakes, yeah, it's getting pretty tiresome, and I feel like Disney, it's not like making animated movies doesn't make them as much money. Because in recent years, there's like Encanto and Frozen, both of which just opened new franchises for them. Okay, then they can make like a 2 of that movie, and they can then have new characters and sell all this new merch. Whereas this is just kind of like the easy way for them to make money, but it's not going to even make them as much in the long run because it's not adding any new characters to their roster. It's just like, oh, I guarantee people like The Little Mermaid, they'll probably come and see this. Instead of like, oh, here's something new and creative that they can also actually milk longer. And it's just, yeah, it's just like, what's the point of making this movie? I agree with everything you guys said, that it's like, not as good. It doesn't, a lot of the things don't transfer over into the live action medium. Like, it's just not the same. Whereas there's so much in the animation that you lose in that transfer. So all you end up with is a movie that's a little worse than the original. that brings nothing new to the table. So like, what's the point? It's kind of like a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that just very quickly, the offshoot of that is with those where you say it's like it comes from a different place, right? It's not based in the creativity and the artistry. And if you look at someone like John Lasseter, who obviously had some scandals and things, but in general, if you look at like it was those forces inside that really pushed the new creativity, and it loses the passion, right? Like you watch it and you're like, I can tell these people don't give a fuck. You know, like
Yeah.
you can feel it when you watch it. It's weird.
So speaking of all of this, guys, animation, as Dan says, has gotten a lot of hate and a lot of flack and a lot of discrediting. But in 2018, a movie that took animation to the next level helped to redefine the genre and give it a lot more steam. And that movie won Best Animated Feature that year. And now it's getting a highly anticipated sequel. Across the Spider-Verse is the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Oscar winner for Best Picture for animation, and it picks up with Miles Morales, an alternate Spider-Man voiced by Shameik Moore, as he teams up with Gwen Stacy, voiced by Haley Steinfeld, an alternate Spider-Woman, to take on Spot, who's voiced by Jason Schwartzman, a villain with access to multiple Spider-Verses. It also stars Oscar Isaac as Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, my personal favorite Spider-Man from comics, who is assembling some sort of Spider-Man force to take on problems across the multiverse, and it will also lead Miles Morales to ask the question of what does it take to become a hero. I'm really excited about this one. Like, I fucking loved Into the Spider-Verse. Everybody loves Spider-Man, but yeah, this is something that there's so much detail and so much dedication to the first one. Like, Lord and Miller really know what they're doing. And so I'm just fucking excited to see what they do next with this.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Into the Spider-Verse. I thought from an animation perspective, the thing I love about anime and animation in general is when you have a passionate series of artists and directors, and like I feel like there's a level of complexity that's quite different in the creative process. But there's so much nuance in that movie that it is kind of popcorny, right? Like you could watch it, not have a clue. And this, to me, is the mark of a really great film. Someone can watch it and get nothing out of it that's in depth, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you're into animation or you're into Spider-Man and you read the comics and you see the history, there are so many little nods and little references and little things that happen throughout that movie that I think I've seen that movie 6 or 7 times, and I keep seeing little things that pop out to me. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was a great, I think of anything that was going to kind of take that body of lore. And I mean, you look at Spider-Man. I mean, you've got a long history of content to draw from. I think of any modern film that's been able to kind of do that and do it really, really, I was gonna say really good justice, but really to do it justice, I think it's Into the Spider-Verse. So I'm with you. I can't wait to like watch that movie and try to pick out little details and little things that happen on the side, little Easter eggs in there. And again, I think it goes down to the fact that the creators of Into the Spider-Verse really care about the body of work, and they understand it, so they know how to frame it so that fans can really get something out of it. And I feel like it checks so many boxes. I don't want to like just gush over it, but I'm with you. I couldn't blow any holes into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If they keep that up, I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add on to your thing before I let you go, Jamie, just something that I learned the other day actually while I was online was I never noticed this, but Into the Spider-Verse, all of like the characters move at like the same frames per second, except the Spider-Men who move at a faster frames per second. But when Miles Morales gets his spider powers, well, he's in that in-between phase before he actually dons his Spider-Man costume and fully like becomes Spider-Man, he is moving at an in-between rate. And this is really apparent if you look at the scenes with him with the Spider-Men, where they're moving very fluently, but his actions are actually very choppy across the frames. It's very, very cool to see. And that's just, a small level of detail, but also an intense level of detail to do if you know anything about animation, and that's dedication to put that through your entire fucking film.
Yes.
Yeah, Jamie, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was for me. I'm sorry.
That was for everyone.
Listening.
That was just for the room.
Oh, that was just for the room.
That was for the room. That was for the room. Yeah, that was just for everyone.
Yeah, it's really good. I love this movie. I'm excited for the new one. The animation is, I like how it was mentioned that it's like really enjoyable for everyone at a base level, but if you're like aware of animation and you like look for things, it's so fun and you notice all these small things they do that they take advantage of the medium. I love when animation and whatever does this, where they do things that wouldn't translate in any other form. Like it wouldn't work as a comic, it wouldn't work as a movie. They do things that are only possible, or as a live action movie. They do things that are only possible with animation. So I'm really excited to see what else comes out with the Across the Spider-Verse. Any other, I think it's just going to be very visually appealing, isn't the word I'm looking for, but it will be visually appealing and interesting and engaging. That's the word I was looking for. As well as just being a good movie, including the animation. Yeah.
Agree. You know what probably won't be a good movie, though, sadly? It's going to be Transformers Rise of the Beasts. The sequel to Bumblebee, set during the 1990s, the Maximals, Predacons, and Terracons join the existing battle on Earth between the Autobots and Decepticons. It stars Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, Anthony Ramos from Into the Heights and Hamilton, and Demick Fishback from Judas and the Black Messiah as the humans. And it will also have Ron Perlman taking up Optimus Primal, leader of the Maximals, Gorilla Transformer, and Pete Davidson will be playing Mirage, the silver blue Porsche. Now, before I just get into this, I just want to bring up this is a gripe that I have, which is that, and for those who don't know anything about Transformers, that there was a Transformer named Jazz in the original 1985 cartoon. And Jazz was modeled after a Porsche, but Porsche would never give the licensing. So Jazz was never officially a Porsche. We got Jazz as a Mercedes in the original Michael Bay film, the first one and everything. And the thing that everyone hated was that Jazz, this beloved character, gets ripped into half after like 2 minutes of screen time, and, we never see Jazz again. But then, we're rebooting the franchise. We're coming at it fresh. Bumblebee was really great, and Porsche agrees to give some licensing. And we fucking make the Porsche not Jazz. I'm just really upset about it. And it's fucking Mirage, too, and it's voiced by Pete Davidson. I'm like, you guys really fucking screwed the pooch on here before we're even starting. Anyways, I'm excited because it's Transformers. It's got Optimus Prime in it. I fucking love Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime. I love Optimus Prime, one of my favorite characters of all time. So I'm fucking hyped to watch this fucking film, even though I know fully well it probably isn't going to be good because I've heard nothing but bad stories about this film's development and early previews. But I will go, I will enjoy it, and I will take my grandmother because she is also obsessed with the Transformers, strangely. She has been telling everyone for the last month, Joey's going to take me to see the robots in June. So she's very excited. But yeah, so I'm excited for Transformers Rise of the Beasts, but I'm sure it'll join the Transformers Hall of Fame of what the fuck was this?
You gotta, the canary in the coal mine, I think, is the kind of gossip and things you hear from behind the scenes. And a lot of times, if there's chaos, that's a pretty good canary in that coal mine. I was kind of hoping that, when this was announced that maybe the whole thing could just be like a big retcon, but, no, I'm not holding out hope.
It is a retcon. They've confirmed Bumblebee is the start of like a new kind of like refresh.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, I'd like to retcon the last several movies. I think like we talked about earlier, I think it started out not bad. It was all right. Mm-hmm. And then just went down the poop chute. And it's really weird to me. I'm not a Michael Bay fan. I think he's really super arrogant. He's done a lot of things that kind of have the smear of like old school douchebag Hollywood to it. And I think he was kind of part of that participation of just very elitist like filmmaking, right, from a very small group of people, and how you screw up like the Transformers. Plot wise, pretty simple: good guys versus bad guys. Destroyed planet, come here, protect, and others want to destroy, right? I feel like it's like one of those things you have to go out of your way to screw up. And, hey, Michael Bay has successfully done that several times. And I wish they would just kind of like that retcon to, bring it back to just a little bit more of the roots. I'm glad Peter Cullen's in it. Friggin' love Ron Perlman. I wish they would have made more Hellboys. I love everything about that guy as an actor. And, I think Jack Black was getting grief about his voice acting capabilities before the Mario movie, and look at what he did, right? So maybe Pete Davidson can surprise. You never know. I'll hold a small candle of hope for that, but I kind of feel like this is probably going to end up in the dumpster of recent Transformer movies, unfortunately. But I got a sliver of hope that it could be a good retcon and maybe refresh the franchise a little bit from that perspective.
Jamie, I'm going to ask your opinions, but I'm pretty sure that you don't care and you're not going to see this.
Yeah, it's going to be no comment. I've never consumed a single piece of Transformer media in my life, and I'm going to keep it that way, I think.
Yeah, I did make Katie watch them all, and I'm pretty sure, she kind of hated it. And I think she also hates that I'm dragging her to Rise of the Beast as well. But
to be honest, from the sounds of it, sounds like you hate it too. You just like the old stuff, like when you were a child. Has anything ever come close to living up to that? Have you ever been satisfied by a movie, or have you been like, okay, this one's all right?
You're not my therapist. I don't need to answer that, A. But B, Bumblebee is actually, like, really good. And maybe that's because it's also half a Transformers movie, half a coming-of-age film. So it's, literally references The Breakfast Club multiple times throughout. So maybe that's just because that was the Transformers movie made for me. And there's a whole sequence on Cybertron to start. But really quickly, I'm just going to go off on a quick little side thing here. Dan, I don't know if you know this, but you'll care. They're making a new Transformers animated film, Transformers only. It's currently tentatively titled Transformers 1. It takes place on Cybertron. They're hoping for it to be a trilogy that tells the story of, how Optimus and Megatron started, how they were allies, how the war happened, and how Cybertron fell. Mm-hmm. It sounds great, right?
Yep.
Chris Hemsworth is playing Optimus Prime.
Yep.
Yep. What the fuck?
That's beyond problematic. Did Peter Cullen die, or is he planning on dying in the interim? Why wouldn't you go back? Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, Netflix recently did a Transformers anime, and it was cool and had some ideas, but it was poorly written. And the guy who they got to play Optimus Prime was the exact opposite of Optimus Prime, where he was actually a war guy and shouting. And I'm the exact opposite and the exact opposite point of Optimus Prime. But whatever. Nobody knows what they're doing anymore.
If Peter Cullen is not Optimus Prime, I'm out.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. He's so iconic. You can't have that franchise without him, or you just don't have Optimus, right? I mean,
yeah, literally.
Yeah,
literally.
My heart hurts.
Yeah, my brother literally texted me. He's like, "Is it true that Chris Hemsworth is playing Optimus Prime?" And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. I'm still not okay. I'm sure I'll be complaining about it next year, though, when we get to that film. Number 5 on our list is Asteroid City. Wes Anderson, the maestro of whimsical comic madness in such films as The Grand Budapest Hotel, love it, and Moonrise Kingdom, returns with this bracing sci-fi bonbon about a 1955 stargazing convention held in a fictional Iowa desert town where stars from Tom Hanks to Scarlett Johansson deal with aliens, spaceships, quarantine, and a little romance. Asteroid City. I've only seen a trailer for this, and it's really weird. My theory about Wes Anderson is that Wes Anderson becomes more Wes Anderson with every film he makes. I'm okay, this is the most Wes Anderson thing I've ever seen. It gets more and more over the top, but I also feel his quality goes down a little bit too. I enjoyed French Dispatch. I love Grand Budapest. As we know, I'm not a fan of Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I'm not a fan of that style of animation, so that's probably why I don't like that movie too much. But Asteroid City, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna hope it's good, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I'm what the fuck was that at the same time?
I can't believe that in your little description here, you don't have one of the greatest movies of all time, which is The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which is a famous Wes Anderson film.
You were talking about this film, were you not, when, I had to jump out a little bit before the little pre-show when we were getting set up, but I came back and I heard you mentioning this title.
It is one of, like, in my mind, it's right up there in my top 3 movies of all time. It is so good. It is so funny. Buscemi and Murray are epic. Like, everybody in that film is ad-libbing at just exactly the right times, and you can see when it happens. It has all of the quirkiness. It is literally harkens back to my childhood of watching Jacques Cousteau, which, like, when the 70s, that was what you did. He was a legend. Wes Anderson, to me, is like truly an artist. He does not care. I think he just does what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and I can't wait to see it. Even a bad Wes Anderson movie is a good movie, I think. He forces you to pay attention. I think that's the thing I love about his movies. Yeah. You can't, like, if you zone out, you're like, what happened? Now it's all changed. But I mean, I can't think of anything else to say about this guy, but I'm really looking I'll watch anything that he puts out, because he's just so out there, and like the polar, diametrically opposite thing of, like, the Fast and the Furious. There's Wes Anderson at the other end of it, right?
Did you watch The French Dispatch that came out like a year and a half ago?
I have not. No.
It's weird. I enjoyed it. Jamie and I saw it together. I was a fan. Jamie, I think you liked it too. I don't think you liked it as much as me, but I think you liked it. Yeah.
French Dispatch, I liked it.
Yeah. No, I had fun at that one. Okay, awesome. Yeah, okay, so we're all on the same page about Wes Anderson, which is really, really great. Next up, we're getting to something.
Oh, can I say my piece on it?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's my bad. Yeah, go ahead, please say your piece on it.
I don't much to say. I guess I was just gonna say I'm really excited, and yeah, it does bring up quite a contrast against, like, Fast and Furious. I say this about music and just about people in general. It can be applied to, like, anything. That everything is either an artist or an entertainer, or somewhere in between. Like, either it's trying to say something or express something or get something out of someone's head, or it's trying to, like, appease the masses and it's more for the outside lens. And yeah, I agree that Wes Anderson is an artist. It's clear he has these, like, images and these ideas in his head that he just wants to get out. And Joe, you said something about it being, like, this one looking a little weird or kooky. I am such a fan of the weird and the oddballs and stuff like that. I actually haven't seen the trailer, but for the past maybe year or 2 years, I have not been watching trailers. I'm not watching trailers. I just go in totally blind, and I like it that way. I just kind of base it on the title, what I've heard about it, and I just go, I guess, without looking more into it.
I would love to do that. And you know what? Maybe for a film, I think my problem is that I'm in too deep with all of, like, the culture, especially the online culture with, like, movies and everything. Like, the trailers are everywhere, or then there's, like, a post in, like, a group I'm in or a circle that I'm in where, like, you know, and then I'm like, okay, well, now I need to see this trailer to understand what's going on here or what these people are talking about and everything. And there was a movie in the last, like, year or two. I don't remember what it was, but it was a movie that I was genuinely excited for and that I avoided, like, all trailers, like, all promotions for. And I went in, and I think I was just okay on the film. I can't remember what film it was now for the goddamn life of me. But yeah, but I did manage to pull it off for one film. And I did like going in though and that experience. Like, personally, the next film that I would probably, like, off the top of my head that I'd want to do that for would probably be the next Matt Reeves Batman film. But at the same time, I loved that first one so much, and I'm dying for, like, content there that as soon as that trailer drops, you know I'm watching it, which is also, like, the problem there too. So, yeah. Maybe if John Hughes was still alive, I'd go in blind to one of his films.
For me, it also comes with, like, most of the discussion I'm having about movies. I have a lot of friends and people I see, like, face-to-face, physically in real life. And those are the people I'm talking about movies with. I'm not so much in the online circles and that. I'm just talking to people out. So there is no, like, here's a photo, here's a clip, here's something. I just don't seek it out on my own, I guess. I do, like, see things, come across them. I don't actively avoid it. I don't seek things out. And I'm not in any of those online spheres that it gets, like, recommended to me or showed to me anyways.
Dan, you're a father and a CEO. Do you even have time for trailers?
Yeah, I'm a huge YouTube kid. I've always been quite a nerd, and like I was watching YouTube like when it came out. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll do things like watch trailers and stuff like that. But I do it from a distance. I don't seek them out. If I see it, all right, great. But I like to kind of I do like to see kind of what's coming. I miss the old days when you used to, they played the national anthem at the movie and you had your 4 trailers.
Wait. They played the
Yeah,
national anthem at the movie?
Oh, and everybody stood. Yeah.
There's no way.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty crazy.
When I saw the original, I saw The Empire Strikes Back at the premiere, because I was we waited years. And I remember standing at Fairview Park Mall in the movie theater that was there. And it was the same film for 10 years. It was this, they didn't recycle it. They didn't improve it. It was the same crappy one. You can find it on YouTube. It's great.
That is interesting. All right. Before we move on, guys, I have a very exciting moment that's about to happen to all of us right now, which is that joining us right now all the way from Newfoundland, he's an aspiring playwright, a cat dad, a local radio sensation, and still, to this day, does not know how to properly pronounce the word theater. He will continue to say theater. Noah Shepherd is joining. Noah, meet Dan. You already know the shtick. Dan's my boss. We brought my boss on. He's already told me that I'm wrong a few times.
Good. You deserve to be told that.
Okay, so we're jumping right into this. Yeah, you didn't hear your whole intro, and I'm going to keep it that way because you probably would have been mad at what I said. And
hey,
I said you don't know how to pronounce the word theater still.
I do. Theater.
Stop. Noah, we're talking right now about the upcoming summer blockbuster movies. As I had filled people in, when we did this last year, I said Knuckles the Enchilada instead of Knuckles the Echidna.
You sure did, buddy.
Yeah, that was a thing. But before we move on with our next movie we're going to talk about, which you're going to love because it's animation, I just wanted to get your quick feelings because you weren't here to talk about it. How do you feel about Jason Momoa in Fast 10?
Everybody needs a payday every now and then. That's, let's be honest, what it is. He's been, other than Dune, he hasn't really been doing that much. It's been a while since the last Aquaman movie, and he likes the blockbusters anyway. So, I don't blame a guy for wanting to get paid.
Are you gonna watch it because he's in it, or are you gonna skip it?
Oh, fuck no, it's Fast and Furious. Why would I watch that?
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Moving right along, the next movie we're going to talk about coming up this year is Elemental, which is the latest film from Pixar. It's the animation of miracles with Elemental, brings fire, water, air, and earth to anthropomorphic life to see if they can coexist. The rules say no, but Good Dinosaur director Peter Sohn is intent on telling a love story between the fire element Ember, played by Leah Lewis, and the water element Wade, played by, and I hope I don't say this wrong, Mamadou Afi, who prove that opposites really do attract. I haven't seen much for Elemental. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for Elemental, if I'm being honest. But I have seen the poster. It looks cool. It looks cute. It's Pixar. I'm gonna go watch it. There's no doubt about that. I just hope it's good.
I think the reason you haven't seen anything is because they haven't put anything out there. I mean,
really?
This has been Pixar's best kept secret. They have not been really promoting this movie. At least it's ramped up a little bit recently, but not for a while.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna turn off my camera. It's not even working. Trying that there. It didn't work out.
I'll just join in. I just joined in because Noah came on and didn't want him to feel alone.
Oh, I appreciate it.
No problem.
But Dan, Elemental, how are you feeling? I assume you're probably gonna have to take your kids.
Yeah, well, typically what we do, to be honest, we're pretty selective about, rustling up the entire crew and heading down to the movie theater. We'll do it, because we have a pretty wide variety of ages. I've actually, with Pixar and with a lot of movies, if I'm unsure, I kind of wait and give it that. It's the same thing like buying AAA video games, right? AAA studio video games. Not buying it pre-release, not going right away. Just want to wait to see a little bit. I'm just glad Pixar's doing something original. That's great. That's like what we talked about before. Stop recycling crap. Stop doing live action. Actually do something new. And even if it doesn't work out, I would give them credit for at least doing something semi-original. I think Pixar's got such a good history of really making awesome films, that even though I would read this little intro that you've got here and what you said, it sounds kind of stupid, but you know what? If you did that with Encanto or you did that with Inside Out or any of the others, Monsters Inc., you'd probably think the same thing. So I give that studio, and I feel like they may have a little bit of a special status within the monster of Disney, hopefully. So I did like cautiously optimistic, and just really glad that Pixar is able to put out something new, hopefully what they're known for, which is being innovative with animation, and taking it to the next level. So that's my hope. Cross your fingers, right? And prepare to be disappointed. As depressing as that sounds.
Jamie?
I will probably watch this movie, but probably not in theaters. I also haven't really seen anything about it. I've just, I kind of like that it's somewhat intentional, or like not kind of shoving the advertising down our throats as per usual. And yeah, I like that it's something new. I think it'll be like a fun kind of like family friendly kind of easy enjoyable movie. I'm not like so excited for it, so hype as I probably have been for past Pixar movies, but I think it'll be fun.
Speaking of things that should be fun and that are exciting, Greta Gerwig, amazing director, she made Lady Bird, and she also made the Little Woman remake that I adore. She also starred in White Noise, which I won't talk about that again. But she's coming back to directing this summer with Barbie. What kind of movie would Greta Gerwig make about the Barbie fashion doll by Mattel that is often criticized for conveying an unrealistic body image? We don't know yet, really. But Margot Robbie, who plays the titular Barbie, told The Hollywood Reporter that the subversive intent is to give you the thing that you didn't know you wanted. Now, does that mean an alternate universe of diversity where Barbie and Ken, played by Ryan Gosling, who admits he has no idea what boyfriends and girlfriends do, come in assorted shapes and sizes? The possibilities are endless, and as this person who wrote this description says, delicious.
I think this might be not only mine, but everyone in the world's most anticipated movie of this summer.
We did do a post on our socials with all three of us as different Barbie memes, and it did get more attention than our socials ever get. People really liked the meme. But yeah, no, I'm really, really hyped about this. I love Greta, I love Margot, I love Ryan, like just three absolute powerhouses. Simu Liu, who I've come to also really adore, he's also in this playing another Ken. Everyone's kind of Ken except for Michael Cera, who's just this one random other guy that's not a Ken. Alan, yeah, it's fucking great. It's such a Michael Cera role. But yeah, no, it looks absolutely great. It looks delightful. I like how we don't really know what's going on, but we do at the same time. I love it when movies set us up like that. So I can watch the preview, but I'm still kind of going in blind. I'm really, really fucking excited for this film. Yeah, and Noah, I guess you're excited too, based upon most anticipated.
Yeah, how can you not be after seeing the shot? And you know which one from the trailer, right? When she steps out of her shoes. That is just so.
Oh my god!
It's such a perfect shot.
Quentin Tarantino agrees.
No, not for that reason. Grow up, Joe. No, but it's like it just that one shot showed you everything you needed to know about this movie to be excited about it.
I was gonna say everything I need to know about this movie to be excited about it was the teaser trailer where it's just giant Margot Robbie on a beach.
I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That one was good. That was good.
That's true. Yeah, but yeah, no. Who isn't excited for Barbie? Who the hell is going to go see Oppenheimer instead?
I'm seeing both on the same day as the
I'm not giving into this. I can feel that this is like the trail of Reese's Pieces, right? And
it's not. We're being genuinely serious right now. We are being genuinely serious, Dan. Are you telling me you're not excited for the Barbie movie?
Look, I'm not pathetic about it. I did see a clip with Ryan Gosling talking about it that had me in stitches because he does reference his greatest cinematic role. He's the most proud of this film more than anything else, and you can see that he's completely full of shit and joking. So I found that really amusing. I think it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be a grand slam, and it's going to be absolutely amazing, or it's going to be a complete flop. I don't see a spectrum of it being like, that was okay.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, but kind of looking at some of the actors, like I give that to Gosling, Margot Robbie, these are pretty serious actors, right? Like, you know, Margot Robbie is certainly at the point, I think, where she can be fairly selective in the roles that she picks. So, you know, and I don't think she needs to make a bag. I think she sounds like she's been making the bag on a few of her films and doing really well. So my hope is that this one is a surprise, because it's very obviously it's super campy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to make of it. I haven't seen the trailers, so it's kind of this big, weird, very brightly colored black hole that you're kind of looking at going, I don't know. This could go either way for me, personally.
Jamie?
I am very excited for this movie. I have seen the trailer, but I know I think it's purposely misleading. And I think it's pretty clear, given, like Margot Robbie, she can do what she wants to do. All those actors can. I think the fact they would all want to be a part of that project, as well that it's Greta Gerwig, I'm just excited to see what it is, because I have no idea. And it's going to be something for sure. And I think it's definitely going to be amazing. I just don't know how. So I'm excited to learn how.
One thing I did remember that I do want to say, another reason why I'm so excited for this, is it's co-written by Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig.
Fucking
and
God.
Whenever they team up, it's fantastic.
White Noise.
Yeah, well, not fantastic. That was actually, to be fair, White Noise was just okay, but I don't know if Greta wrote on that one. That might have been just Baumbach's solo writing. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm not sure. He's also fantastic in his own right. Don't get me wrong. They co-wrote Frances Ha together, and that is possibly my favorite movie of all time. So it's exciting stuff.
Take a shot on this podcast every time Noah brings up Noah Baumbach and that other fucking guy who should never host the Oscars.
Tim Robinson should absolutely host the Oscars.
Nope.
Tim Robinson 2024.
I think the Oscars are completely fucking irrelevant and should just be canned altogether, but that's just my personal opinion on it.
Well, we know we're not asking you on the Oscars show next year, Dan.
No, you
should.
Sure. I think it's a complete light of bullshit, but that's just me.
You have to watch the show, though.
I listened to the podcast where you talked about that you were the only one that watched it all the way through.
Yeah. I usually am the only one that watches all the way through, unless Noah's showing up to steal all my fucking money.
That's true. I do like to steal all your trophies.
I have the current one.
The one thing I was going to say about Barbie and Greta Gerwig is in a kind of Wes Anderson-y way. Like if you look at the cast, I mean, you got Tom Hanks coming in for Wes Anderson's upcoming film, right? For Asteroid City. When you see names like that, and I think this leads to me not having a clue what the hell's going on with it, and so that's totally fair. But when you have power players in Hollywood in that scene that are affected like A-listers, and they want to do these films, that to me is a huge a signal that like sit back and enjoy it, because it's not guaranteed not to bomb or be bad, right? But I think it's better that you see that in both of those films, right? Mm-hmm. Those people, none of those actors in either Asteroid City or Barbie need to do anything. They don't need the bag, right? They have the bag already, so they're doing it because they want to. So yeah, I'm open-minded about it. It's terrifying, but you never know. It's Barbie, right? Not my lore. Is there Barbie lore, by the way? Is that a thing?
Yeah, there is actually. Katie looked up this, and there's a whole Barbie like cinematic universe timeline, like the MCU, with all the animated films from like when, back in the early 2000s. Like, there's a whole thing.
I can accept that.
Yeah, no, there's Barbie lore. However, as Noah pointed out, there's another movie coming out on the same day as Barbie. And actually, currently, Katie and I have a bet as to which one is going to be better. Katie is betting on Barbie. I am actually betting on this one. Barbie. And Can I finish? God damn it.
No, I'm here.
Shut up, Joe.
Exactly.
Am I getting into it now?
You are.
You're picking up. Christopher Nolan's biopic about World War II physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. The Dark Knight of the Atomic Bomb sounds like a heavy lifting for summer, but trust Nolan in an A-list cast led by Robert Downey Jr., Florence Pugh, Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, and Rami Malek to challenge audiences from the first scene to the last. Yeah, and it stars, is it Cillian or Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer?
I believe it's Cillian.
Cillian, there you go. Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer. And I'm excited for this film. It looks great. It looks super fun. Apparently, the atom bomb blast that they have in the film was actually all practical effects, which, you know me, I'm a sucker for a practical effect. So, yeah, I'm down with this, and it's fucking Christopher Nolan. I know a lot of people hated on Tenet, but I enjoyed Tenet, guys. Okay? I guess I'm in the minority. I did not like Dunkirk.
Well, I think you're the only, singular, the only person who enjoyed Tenet. Even people who like Tenet didn't enjoy Tenet.
Felt like
they just kind of
stayed
there. Yeah, exactly. It's something you gotta do. No one has a new movie. You may as well shuffle out to see it. Right, Joe?
It was between that and the New Mutants movie. I actually saw both of those that week, so maybe that's why it's so good in my head, is because I saw the New Mutants too.
That's fair. Just so you know, Joe, as well, the cord fell out of my microphone, so there's a bit of audio that'll be weirdly timed on my end, but I had to restart my recording.
We actually have, Dan was kind enough to bring his transcription otter, so we actually have we have a third backup and everything. We're set for this show.
There we go. Look at that. Never mind that. All right. Let's keep on rolling.
Dan, Oppenheimer, go.
Christopher Nolan is schizophrenic in my mind. Sorry, Interstellar sucked. I didn't like it.
Interstellar is overrated.
It's way overrated. I didn't enjoy it at all. Inception tried way too hard. I think Christopher Nolan he's got a complex that, I mean, he does things that make me love him, like The Dark Knight and that entire trilogy, like the best of all of them. I'll go die on that hill anytime. And then he puts out stuff where he feels like he's chasing around after Spielberg and Scorsese going, look guys, I'm in the club, man. I gotta be in this club. I'm here. I want to be taken seriously. So I hope it turns out to be a great classic. I don't know how you could fuck up that story. That the story of Robert Oppenheimer is pretty deep and intense. And as long as they don't try to he doesn't try to Hollywoodize it way too much, kind of like the Tetris movie where there was a random car chase at the end for no good reason whatsoever, which could have been a much better movie. I think I would hold a lot of hope that this will be on the good side of Christopher Nolan, rather than the I'm trying really way too hard to be innovative Christopher Nolan. And nobody in this, I've seen terrible movies from everybody on this list. So to our previous point where those heavy hitters are really selective, Robert Downey Jr., I mean, is not that selective. He's had a few good ones, like Tropic Thunder, etc. So I don't know. I'm 50-50. I'm super hopeful because I think, being into the history of it, it is pretty intense. It's pretty crazy how that whole world kind of came together between Einstein and Oppenheimer and the Manhattan Project and what was happening. I just hope it doesn't devolve into being a blockbuster thing that they're trying to prove something, and maybe go more along the lines of, say, Saving Private Ryan, right? Where you try to remain true to the history and just really tell a great story. So I'm kind of 50-50. I don't know what to expect, but I'm hopeful with a whole lot of room for disappointment.
Very quickly, Dan, do you like Memento?
I do.
Love Memento. That was just my question.
I love Memento, and because it was so original, and it didn't get it until when you first saw that movie, right? I didn't quite follow it until it all came together, and you're like, damn it, that was good. Yeah.
Noah. Oppenheimer. Besides the fact that you think Barbie will be better.
I think Barbie will be better. I mean, I'll probably get around to watching it. I don't really have a lot of excitement for this. Even though I enjoyed Interstellar, it might be my favorite of Nolan's movies other than Dark Knight or whatever. I just don't really, I don't get excited for Christopher Nolan. I don't know. You know what it is? No, it comes down to one thing, and it might seem like a nitpick. What the fuck is wrong with Nolan's sound editing? You can never understand everyone. Everyone's audio is flat as hell.
I think in his newer stuff, yes, but I don't think that's apparent in The Dark Knight.
No, but that's different. That's not, when I think of Nolan movies, the only reason I think of The Dark Knight is because it's so big, but I don't think necessarily it's in his style, or I don't think if you were to look at The Dark Knight and look at the rest of Nolan's filmography, I don't think it really, it blends. I think it's definitely an outlier, but I don't know, man. I just don't enjoy listening to Christopher Nolan's films. And I think that that's the biggest thing. I can watch them all I want, but if I'm not going to listen, then I'm not going to know what's going on.
Fair enough. Jamie?
I'm not I'm not really too excited for this. I'll probably see it, and it might be really good, and I might really enjoy it. But I'm not like excited for it or feeling like I needed to see this or it's exactly what I wanted. Whereas you put this up against Barbie, because you can't really escape comparing the two. Barbie is just so different and exciting because you don't know what it's going to be. This, I can kind of imagine what it's going to be. I feel like I can imagine quite well what it's going to be, and I feel like it's going to be kind of like I've seen before. It's kind of about similar subject matter. I think it's going to be in a similar style, whereas Barbie is totally new in every way. Like, it's not something that has been made at this scale and for this audience before, and I think that's why it's much more exciting, and you hear a lot of people saying they're more excited for it. Just because it's something new, even if technically Oppenheimer might be a better movie, might be better to look at, might be more interesting. It's just not as exciting on a base level, because I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, it's kind of almost like an ad lib that you see a movie like this every year or so.
Yeah, no, I get it. Oppenheimer seems to be very Nolan-y, where, a Nolan film's a Nolan film. Something like Wes Anderson, at least it's creative and it's quirky. Where Barbie does look like something to be new. No, I will agree with you on that.
Yeah.
All right, our next film, Haunted Mansion. Hoping for a Halloween scare fest this summer, this reboot of the 2003 Eddie Murphy hit based on the Disney ride should do the trick and the treat, with Rosario Dawson starring as a single mom ghost-busting with a psychic played by Tiffany Haddish, a priest played by Owen Wilson, a paranormalist played by Lakeith Stanfield, and surprises from Oscar winners Jared Leto and Jamie Lee Curtis. You had me at Owen Wilson, you lost me at Jared Leto. I'm kind of back in at Jamie Lee Curtis. But yeah, it's Haunted Mansion, I actually have never seen the original. I might see this, I might not. It's honestly going to be up in the air. I do think a priest played by Owen Wilson is kind of funny, and that kind of, like I said, that kind of gets me in at Owen Wilson. But then you've got fucking Jared Leto, can we stop hiring Jared Leto for things?
But Morbius was so good.
He literally said,
it's the first
said
movie
there was
to make
Parmesan.
$1 billion.
He said there was Parmesan in his blood when he was filming House of Gucci because of how Italian he became. Fuck that guy.
You hating on the method actors, eh?
You want to talk about Austin Butler next and his fake fucking voice? Let's do it.
I think we hated on method actors pretty strongly last episode or two episodes ago.
We did.
Oscars episode, we did. We went intense on them.
I think method actors are bad at
silly.
acting.
You've got to, then you all have to appreciate Tropic Thunder, which I just watched the other day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Fully, that's what I think.
It comes out loud and clear. I don't stand either way on method actors as long as they act well in the movie that they're in, but I think it's funny to imagine somebody playing a character for six months and being that person all the time. A Haunted Mansion, I kind of like whatever.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm never gonna watch this. I'm never gonna watch this movie. I'm just like, it could be good, it could be bad. There's no point. I'm now talking about it. There's no point for me to do this. I'm just never going to see this movie.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to see this movie. This is the first I'm hearing of it, to be totally honest. Maybe if I'm like looking for a movie to watch and it's in theaters and I'm like going with people. Otherwise, I don't think I'll go out of my way to watch this movie unless it comes out that it's amazing.
Okay.
This may be one with one of my kids that I would watch on like Disney Plus, right? When it hits Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That's about it. Or I'll torrent it if they actually ask for it. But not that I would never do such a thing.
We support theaters on this show, Dan.
Well, I worked with Cineplex for a long time, and I don't think in Canada you probably should. But anyways, I love theater experiences. I get you. We've got the Princess Cinema here in Waterloo, which is a great independent kind of old school theater, and they just put stuff into rotation like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice.
Right, at the right time of the year. Yeah, so it's good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, That's awesome. But yeah, no, fun fact about Dan is that in his, he's still in his marketing days, but he did work with Cineplex for some marketing stuff, which is pretty cool. Our next movie on the list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. Their new friend April O'Neil helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. It's an animated take with an interesting new animation style. Of course, we've got Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo, who are set to defy expectations as Seth Rogen is the creative behind the script. And he got actual teenagers to do the voices of the Turtles. And I'm just going to start off by saying this. Probably the most iconic IP in my childhood was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I watched it all the time with my brothers. All three of us loved it. My brother set out to get 4 turtles and name them all after the TMNT. He got 2 turtles and then realized they were girls, so that didn't really work out for him. But yeah, I absolutely love the Ninja Turtles. I was really upset with all of their recent things because there's only 2 good Ninja Turtle movies out there, and they're the first 2 made back in the 80s, 90s. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. It's got an interesting, unique animation style like Spider-Verse did. It looks to be a blast. It looks to be super fun. And it really took me back to my days of watching the 2003 series as a kid. So yeah, Ninja Turtles, I'm hyped for.
I think this one looked, I heard about it, didn't really care that much. Then I saw the trailer, and it's a good trailer, and it looks great. I'll probably take this one in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you, Joe. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has anime roots. It's a great adaptation. The 80s movies were really great. If anyone can fuck something up, it's Seth Rogen. I feel like he's kind of gone down a little bit of a path of a Kevin Smith, kind of what he did with She-Ra and all that stuff. I'm going to leave that one there.
He's also making The Boys, though, and Invincible. He's one of the big creators behind those.
But to that point, I was talking more kind of about recent history. I guess one thing is I hold a lot of hope for this. I could see it being screwed up a lot, and the danger is that trailers can sometimes be far better than the movie. Don't know 100%. But one of the things I wish they would stop introducing origin characters 50 friggin' times into these goddamn movies, and okay, we all know how, with Spider-Man, stop rebooting the origin story. We know about Uncle Ben. It's sad. Can we not make another movie about it? The fact that they're reintroducing April is one of those things that I find super annoying. She could be part of the cast, and you just accept that she's there if you don't know, right? It's wasted cycles in a limited amount of time inside of a movie. Right, where you get the extreme, which is the Eternals, where we have 47 characters, so everybody gets 3.5 minutes in this movie. We're going to tell their origin story, and just let it be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I hope it's going to be great because when those movies and cartoons and animations are good, it's amazing, and it's one of those that Barbie comment I made, which is it's going to be a grand slam or it's going to be terrible. Not sure which way it's going to go. So hopefully. It'll be good. I think I cautiously may check it out. It's kind of, I have to watch a few more trailers and kind of see a few more things before I might even commit to that, me being a princess that I
am.
Jamie?
Yeah, so I'm not really a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle person. I've probably never consumed a piece of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle media before. I actually have seen the trailer or the teaser for this movie, and it looks good. I think I am gonna watch it, and I like that he has actual teenagers doing the voices, and that's what I noticed is they actually felt like teenagers in the teaser. It actually felt like that
yeah.
mood, whereas the past ones I've seen where they're trying to be maybe gritty in the movies, I'm what the heck is so silly? The visuals didn't, and the visuals and the dialogue just didn't match with
You very
the
obviously saw the Michael Bay ones.
Probably, yeah. Whereas this, I feel I'm okay, yeah, this everything is kind of cohesive and going through the same thing, and it seems fun. Yeah, it seems fun. So I'll probably go watch it because I think I will have
If
fun
you
watching it.
legitimately want to see it, you can come with us to see it. I will take anyone to see a Ninja Turtles movie. Like, fuck.
Okay.
Let's do it. We're gonna go. Okay, our last movie on this list before we get to one final fun game to end us off is Blue Beetle. DC's latest superhero with Noah. Do you know how to say this actor's name? Because I'm not even want to taking a stab at this.
Let me take a look. Sorry, I wasn't looking at Zolo. Oh, I forget how the X's are pronounced. It's different.
Isn't it
It's
Jolo?
usually
Wouldn't it be like a Jolo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either Jolo or it's like Holo. I think it's Holo. Holo Maradona.
And that's why you're on the radio. Starring as Jaime Reyes, a teen whose life explodes when an ancient alien biotech relic gloms onto his face and turns him into the Blue Beetle, an entity so powerful they had to shoot the movie with IMAX cameras. Susan Sarandon plays the villain who wants to be her own beetle, and George Lopez is Jaime's fantasy-hating uncle who claims that Batman is a fascist. Best moment of the trailer was that. This is the last film in what is considered the DCEU before James Gunn reboots with Superman Legacy. It also seems to stand on its own too, so James Gunn has said it's possible that it extends into his universe, which I think is really cool. It's Blue Beetle. It looks like fun. There was a lot of dedication put into making this film, I know, and especially the costume, which looks really, really great. It's the Jaime Reyes character, so it is the third iteration of the character, which I kind of understand because the first two iterations were Charlton characters before DC bought the IP and then made Who Killed the Peacemaker into Watchmen. So I get DC wanting to use their own and everything. I'm going to see it. I think it looks like fun. I think it looks like it's going to embrace itself, which is that it's a fun, quirky little thing, and which is what the first Shazam did, which was great, and then Shazam 2 happened. So yeah, I'm down for it and everything. I don't think it's going to be absolutely epic, but I think in terms of DC, it'll be a win for them.
Yeah, I think this should be the definition of a popcorn film. I hope so. That it should be entertaining, like that. At its best, it would be entertaining and a good summer flick to go see. Blue Beetle's enjoyable. I just think this might have been a perfect Christopher Nolan flick because he's really suited for the DC, right? Like he can do great things. But I think that if it can stick to being a popcorn film, stop trying so goddamn hard. I wish DC would just chill out and just tell their stories instead of chasing the coattails of the MCU, which is what they've been doing. And let DC stand on its own and be DC. And in this case, also gives them a chance. I get the dark, brooding nature, and I reference like the best of the DC as being probably the darkest in a sense, at least just to a great degree with the Dark Knight. But, DC's really gone down the road of promoting like the darker side of things. A little changed with the Suicide Squad, etc. But I think if it just doesn't try too friggin' hard and just be an enjoyable film, let it be a film, instead of trying to expand the lore of something. I think it could be good, and I'm glad that they're using IMAX for quality purposes. I mean that's actually a really good thing. I don't know how the Batman is a fascist thing. I could see it coming off really funny because in a sense you could make a strong case that he actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely something there, and I love Batman, but there's something there. There's a case.
yeah, for sure.
Noah, how you feeling about this film?
I pretty much line up with Dan there. I think it's it should be a popcorn flick. Joe, you said it actually. I was in my head saying that I would make the Shazam 1 comparison. Yeah, just make it fun. Jaime's in my opinion, the best of the characters left. Let's go with that. I really.
Noah, check your mic settings. You just changed from really good to really bad.
Yeah, it just my cord fell out again. So
okay.
There you go. So my Audacity's restarting again. So I might have lost a little bit there.
We've got tons of backups.
We're covered.
I know. Does the podcast need to fund you a new mic?
No, the mic's fine. It's just
Okay.
my we're changing around the room that I'm recording in, so my desk is covered in a fair thing. So I'm holding my mic rather than leaving
Gotcha.
it on its stand today. So it's
Okay.
the angle is not great for cords.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. And then Jamie, tell us what you think about Blue Beetle.
No thoughts at all. DC is
Okay.
totally under my radar.
Oh.
Yeah, so no thoughts.
Do you think Batman's a fascist?
I think, like was said, you can definitely make that a strong case. I'd have to think more about it to be decisive.
Is Batman a fascist? Coming this summer to 21st Century Cinema. All right, guys. That was great.
Can I interject something?
No,
Did we skip over Indiana Jones, the 87th
We totally
episode?
accidentally skipped over Indiana Jones.
I thought you guys did it
we
before
did.
I got here.
We did skip over Indiana Jones. That's my bad. All right, let's do it quickly. Harrison Ford is 80, but age hasn't stopped him from a fifth and, as he says, final go at the iconic role of the archaeologist adventurer Indiana Jones. Steven Spielberg left the directing to James Mangold. Choice, okay, but says he loves the result. That's good enough for... Yeah, I just got these off of a summer Blockbuster website, I won't lie. As the nifty de-aging flashbacks that ease us into Indy's gray hairs seem to look really good so far. Ford's sparky byplay with Fleabag, Emmy winner Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Indy's goddaughter shows it'll be unmissable fun to the max. It is titled Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'm just okay on the Indiana Jones films. I don't love them. I don't hate them. This one looks like it'll be fun. I'm going to make the effort to see it in theaters, but if I miss it, I'm not going to be heartbroken.
I wish Harrison Ford would just go away. Like he bitches about every single character that's made him like a multi-millionaire and a famous actor. Indiana Jones is iconic, and it was iconic. Like, leave it at 3. Stop it. Go away, right?
You don't want to talk about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, man?
I mean, this is part of my being a Gen Xer. Like, you fucked up Star Wars, okay? Fine. Why? Go after why? Like this, just leave it. Leave it alone unless you can just replace Harrison Ford. That's okay. The Indiana Jones franchise could have, his son, Shia LaBeouf, was maybe a little crazy after the fact, but he wasn't. He was a reasonable kind of segue. He's too old. He can't act anymore. It's just a function of age. I don't care. I don't want to see it. It's going to be a huge disappointment, and anybody that says otherwise is, I think you're fooling yourself on this one. I don't think that the magic is gone from that franchise, and it has been for a while. It could be rebooted, but that's where, you've got other franchises that could have picked up a certain mantle of that, like Tomb Raider back in the day. But yeah.
Noah?
That's my take.
I may be a mindless consumer, but I don't know. I think it's fun. I'll get. I like Indiana Jones. I think Hollywood always needs one guy who hates the movies he's in. Right now we have Indiana Jones, we have Harrison Ford. Although he's usually pretty a little bit happier doing Indiana Jones movies than Star Wars. But also now we have Jenna Ortega, who really hates Wednesday, so that's fun. That mantle's getting passed on.
But he's still doing it.
But for the most part, I will say, the biggest reason for me to watch is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I adore everything that woman does. Just fantastic actor and also fantastic writer. Just, if you have not seen Fleabag, end the podcast now and go watch it. It is one of the greatest pieces of television in the last 20 years, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm just excited to see more of her, honestly.
Jamie?
I don't think they should have made this movie. I will probably go see it though. I agree with most of what has been said by everyone. That's about it that I have to say.
I'm not sure if you just gaslighted yourself on that one.
Okay. To end off this episode, super fun, Dan recommended we play a game, and so we're going to do 10 rounds. It's called Overrated, Underrated, or Perfectly Rated. I'm going to say a movie. We're going to go around. I'll go, then Dan can go, then Noah, then Jamie. And we're just going to say either overrated, underrated, or perfectly rated. If we're all unanimous, yay, we move on. If it's everyone against me, we can move on. If we've got a big difference of opinion, we can decide if we want to move on or actually debate this. But let's see how many we can get through without having an uproar. Okay?
Can we just add a fourth thing?
What's that?
Haven't seen it.
Okay, if you haven't seen it, then yeah, you just say you haven't seen it. Okay. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay. The Godfather. Perfectly rated.
Perfectly rated.
Haven't seen it.
Perfectly rated.
Okay.
Wow.
Can't believe you've seen The Godfather. No, what? You've seen Shawshank, but not The Godfather? Wow.
Yeah, Shawshank comes on TV. Godfather doesn't.
Okay. Avatar.
Do you know how? Do you know how many classic movies I have watched? Like Hollywood giant movies I have watched with commercials in between, half asleep on the couch.
Streaming hasn't come to Newfoundland yet. I get it. Dan is obviously new here because he laughed at one of my Newfoundland jokes that I make every week.
It's pretty new to me, so.
Okay. Avatar. Overrated.
Overrated.
Overrated. Well, yeah, overrated, but I think it's the movie that has the reputation of being overrated. So is that overrated?
It's overrated.
Is being overrated? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
That's very meta.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say overhated. It would be overrated, but at this point, underrated because of how much is hated on.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Because everyone
that's a
hates
very
the movie.
nuanced.
I don't think
That's
it
a very
deserves to be
nuanced.
hated, but people hate it because it's overrated.
That was almost like
That
a
makes
rap or a
sense.
rhyme.
Yeah, there's some rhythm there.
There was rhythm.
I hate it because it's there's no substance to that movie. It's just they gave me a lot of money for special effects, and here's a 3-hour tour of a make-believe planet you didn't care about before and you won't care about after.
Wait,
Kind
is
of
this
the point
Avatar
of
or
it.
Avatar 2?
It's kind of the point.
Avatar 1.
Avatar 1. Okay.
I'm not big on. I'm just not that big on white savior films.
That too.
That's a good point.
I think Avatar was like, okay. It was like a popcorn movie to me. It was fine. It wasn't it didn't kill me. I thought it was okay and it was good at certain points. Definitely not like this classic that people make it out to be.
I don't think anyone makes it out to be a classic, in my opinion, though. I think everyone
Some people
hates on
do.
it. Okay,
It depends.
I'm opposed to that, then.
The Dark Knight. Perfectly rated.
Perfectly rated. Maybe underrated. I put it on the line of underrated as well.
I'll go perfectly rated.
I'm going overrated.
That doesn't surprise me, though. It doesn't surprise me.
I think we've spoken about this before.
Okay, but wait. But who do you think, then, makes the best Batman movie? Because you might not know this, Jamie has petitioned for Tim Burton to make a Batman movie.
Yeah, he should. He should really do that.
Yeah. And boy, did we have a surprise for her.
Is this real?
This is real.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm being punked here or
in an
not.
episode once, she legitimately said, we talked about The Dark Knight, and she's like, who should make a Batman movie? Tim Burton should make a Batman movie. And I'm like, you mean like 1989's The Batman?
I don't think you guys realize how meta my jokes are.
You loop it all the way back around.
So meta, I didn't get it.
But okay, but if you had to perfectly rate a Batman movie, what Batman movie would you say is
Well,
perfect?
I guess as a Batman movie, I would say, yeah, rated. But I think often people are like, oh, it stands so well if it wasn't Batman, da-da-da. I think if it wasn't Batman, it's like on par with the best movies. Like, people act as if it's really great. It's pretty good. I just think it's a tad bit overrated. Out of the context of Batman. But it could be the perfect Batman movie.
So what about in the context of comic book films?
In that context as well, it's not my favorite, but I think it's probably in the top tier. I just mean as a movie on its own.
Do you have an
off
the top of your head favorite comic book film?
Not off the top of my head. No, I need to think about it.
Okay. Think about it. I'm gonna go last for this one. The Breakfast Club. Dan, you can start us off.
I know so many ways I could just stick a shiv into your back and line at the cafeteria, to use a prison reference here, but I'm not going to. I actually think it is underrated.
Noah?
I'm gonna go perfectly rated. I think it's
Jamie?
I'm gonna go overrated. We don't need to get into it. We've spoken about this many a time.
So each of you, so now it's who do I side with?
Well, we know
Yeah.
who you're gonna side with.
The Breakfast Club is overrated, guys.
Oh,
I
you threw the
love
boomerang.
the
Burn.
Breakfast. Guys, I love the Breakfast Club. The logo for that movie is tattooed on my arm. It is my favorite movie of all time. It is what got me into movies. It has inspired me, and it has resonated with me in many ways. But my God, I see things on the internet, and people make the Breakfast Club out so much. Like, I can recognize when things are better than the Breakfast Club, and that there are more powerful films out there than the Breakfast Club. The reason why I love the Breakfast Club so much is how much it resonates with me, and I do think our generation gives it a little bit too much hate. But overall, the Breakfast Club, if you go online, is so overrated, and I'm kind of sick of seeing people go almighty on the film, because I'm like, it's an amazing film. I love it so much. It is my favorite film of all time. But sometimes people are just putting too much into something that isn't there. So I will say the Breakfast Club is overrated.
Okay. I wanna socially appropriate this movie for my generation. I feel like I have every right to do that.
You know, you do. And I think that the movie is socially appropriate. I think it's, like I said, it resonates with me. Like, I love this movie so much. But then also, and Dan, if you want to go back later, you can listen to our coming of age episode where we did talk about the Breakfast Club, where that's actually the one Katie was on to tell me that I'm wrong, where Jamie and Katie both said, like, the Breakfast Club isn't realistic because, you know, that wasn't their high school experience, which I can get with two of our
That's
generation.
not what we said. That's not what we said.
That is what you said.
Misconstrue it. No, we said it's not. Oh, okay. I'm not going to repeat it, but that is not what we said.
Okay. We'll have to go back in the archives and come back with
Check the tape.
with the Breakfast Club. But overall, I just want to say, yes, I understand why people think the Breakfast Club is overrated, and I get it.
Well, I'll tell you why I think it's underrated, because that movie is really very generational in my mind, and that's my generation, right? When I saw that movie, I was in like grade 9, grade 10 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was literally telling a story of you being in high school when you were in high school. The reason I say it's underrated is because with my generation, if I were to bring up like with my high school friends, if I went to a high school reunion or something, and if I said, hey, the Breakfast Club, I would get almost universally people going, oh my God, I haven't thought about that movie in 30 some odd years, 40 years, right? And so in that sense, because I think the intention and this kind of a John Hughes thing was, he was very much like coming of age movie type guy, right? Like, I mean, that's what his shtick. That's what he did, in a lot of his films. So the reason I say it's underrated is because I think people in my generation, forget about it. They did a lot for that particular group. I think it's moved into the class of arguing on the internet with people that are very into it, right? Like you get into your echo chambers with your people. But I think by and large, it's just not really remembered in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. And that's why I would say it's a bit underrated for what it is, to your point, Joe, I think.
And for those same reasons, actually, Dan, is why I think The Edge of 17 is underrated, because I think that's very accurate of my generation and what it was like being 17. But that's a different story. Next one is Chicago. Underrated.
Been so long since I've seen it, I have to say I haven't yet seen it, if that makes sense. You know, It's been far too long.
Noah?
I'll go underrated. You know how much I love a good musical.
Like the 2002 musical, Chicago?
Yes.
Underrated, definitely.
Underrated film. Yeah. Also, Noah, stop being a coward and listen to falsettos. Number 6, Grease. Over motherfucking rated.
I'm actually going to say perfectly rated.
I hate Grease.
I think people know how goofy it is now, so I'm going to say perfectly rated.
I'm going to say I haven't seen it, but I somehow know it's overrated, but I haven't seen it.
Shakespeare in Love.
Over fucking rated.
Overrated. Overrated.
Wait,
overrated.
I will throw this. I'll throw this in here.
Oh, don't
Other
you
than
fucking dare. It beat
No.
Private Ryan.
No, wait, Joe. Let's take it down a notch, buddy. All right. My thing is, who other than the Academy thinks this movie is good?
Okay, that's
like,
a fair point.
So yeah, it's not good, but does anyone actually think it is?
I've seen it on those fucking montages that they show on the Oscars for no good reason.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go. Yeah, I'll go overrated, but that's just to the Academy. I think people know how bad
That's
this
fair.
movie is.
That's fair.
The Nightmare Before Christmas. Overrated.
Fuck off. Underrated.
Perfectly rated.
Perfectly rated or underrated?
Okay. Fair enough. I will also just digress that I grew up with that movie. Like, my mom's, like, probably one of her favorite movies of all time. So I grew up with that movie a lot around me. And so that might also be why, to me, it's, like, overrated. But I still think it's a great film.
See, Joe, a normal person would have nostalgia and like some form of endearment to something that their mother really enjoyed.
It's called The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No, I feel like you contribute to Joe's therapy bills.
Oh, 100%. That's my goal.
Actually, I think Noah might be one of the few people in my life I haven't brought up in therapy. I gotta think about this now.
There you go. I keep you honest.
You do.
My thing with The Nightmare Before Christmas was what Burton did with it was bring this like awesome stop motion animation style, turned a theme on its head. And I think the reason I would say underrated is because I think what's underrated about it is the amount of influence it's had on that industry of animated film. I think it's been massively influential, and it's guided 20, 25 years worth of creators and directors and animators. And you see it on, the Family Channel at Christmas and Halloween. And so, I do think it's underrated, but I think more for maybe kind of how influential that film, actually has been on the industry itself.
Mm-hmm. Psycho. Perfectly rated.
Yeah, perfectly rated.
Yeah, I'll also just go perfectly rated.
Same. Perfectly rated.
Okay. And the final one on my list. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Underrated.
Underrated.
Also underrated. I love that movie.
Have not seen.
Oh.
You must.
It's worth it. Yeah.
It's good. All right. Before we wrap up the show, because that's the last thing, guys, does anybody else want to throw any other things out there? I will always throw out that I think Clue is underrated and more people need to watch it.
Yeah, I agree there. Great movie.
Anybody else have a movie they want to throw out there?
You guys seen Red Notice? It's a classic.
No.
Let's talk about Jumanji and what a good reboot that was.
Oh my God. I actually still haven't seen it.
It's good it's a popcorn movie, bro. Don't try to compare it to the original, but I think as far as you could modernize it without offending the original, I thought it was pretty good. Anyways, it's popcorn. I just did that to try to get you going.
All right. Well, then that's that. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to say, I believe this is going to be our longest episode to date. But the conversation has been great. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've enjoyed it. I hope Jamie and Noah have also enjoyed it, and I hope you have enjoyed it as well.
I very much enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, guys. And I'm always happy to join in anytime. I can talk authoritatively about something I have no idea what I'm talking about any day of the week.
Well, you fit in great. No, we will for sure have you back. I guess we can also kind of talk about this a little bit here. We only talked about it a little bit between the three of us, but July is the 50th episode of 21st Century Cinema. It'll be our 50th episode, so I'm sure we'll be doing something special with every person who has ever guessed, except for one person that we had to kick off.
Man, you don't need to mention that.
I do every time, though.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I said I do mention it, though, every time. I'm not saying I have to.
Yeah. You do, but you don't have to.
But we'll definitely be doing something. But Dan, we'll for sure have you on again in the future. And before I hand it over to you, Dan, to plug what you want, I want to remind everyone that coming up next month on TFCC, it is the moment you've all been waiting for, the first live in-person episode with me and Noah in 4 years. It's going to be on the writer's strike.
Yeah.
We'll be recording that in 2 weeks when I'm with Noah out east in Newfoundland. It's going to be a fun time. And then we've got our 50th episode coming up. And then Jamie also has someone that she is going to be bringing on the show who is going to be recommending a topic to us in very soon. And we'll be having some movies to watch for that, I know. So that's going to be very exciting. You had texted me about this.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're caught up. We're on the same page. Cool. Also, we have a Patreon. Noah's the only person supporting it, but if you wanted to join him, it's patreon.com/TFCC. There's bonus content on there, and if we get more patrons, maybe we'll put more bonus content on there. Also, if you want to support the show but don't want it to be a monthly commitment, we do have merch, like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, and Dan has threatened to buy for the entire staff of my coworkers, which now scares me.
Do it.
TFCC merch. We've got tons of great designs out there. Art from Noah Schaefer, including the infamous Shut Up Joe logo, best-selling piece of merch. We've got our new Season 5 logo. We've got the old logos. We've got a few fun designs, one of them being a meme design that Noah created. Noah, there's no video version for this episode, so I don't know why you're trying to show your shirt off.
It was worth a shot.
And of course, so you can listen to all of our old episodes. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned because we've got tons of more things coming up. And we're actually keeping to a solid release schedule this year, which is really big for us if you know us. So stick around for lots more fun to come. Dan, I'm going to give it over to you. Plug whatever you want to plug.
I just really want to shout out shutupjoe.com as being the next domain that needs to be purchased here. And you should have a dedicated merch store. Joe, I heard you do Shopify things here and there during your day job. So I expect no less than seeing shutupjoe.com. And so we can email Joe shutupjoe@shutupjoe.com. That needs to be an email address.
I agree.
Dan, we don't make a lot of money on this show, man.
The most money we've made has been off those shirts, though. So
it is actually, the shirt sales. So we got to get more merch sales, more people on the Patreon, because the only other funding this show has is that our producer pays our hosting fee every month.
Producer.
Well, just think of it as an investment, Joe. You invest in it's kind of like the P. Diddy story, right? The Jay-Z story. It's like you plow your profits back in, no matter how small those profits are.
You know, I have heard that, maybe I should take up some marketing because you got to spend money to make money in marketing. So maybe there's a good small Waterloo-based marketing firm that'll want to take on 21st century cinema.
This is where your own shoe gets put on the other foot, right? Yeah. Like now you're the client instead of saying, why don't they have budget for anything? You can't even buy a friggin' $1.99 domain, bro.
Maybe I'll buy the domain, Dan.
I might have credits on my sick, demented personality probably has credits on GoDaddy. I'll look it up and see what we can do for you.
Jamie, would you like to plug anything going on in your life?
Lots of things happening, lots of shows being shown. You can go to Blossom Band, the Instagram, Blossom spelled BLOSUM, for updates on that band. And you can just go to my social, The Curvello, for other bands and other happenings and updates on my weekly radio show and whatever else I'm up to.
And Noah?
I'm still on air, of course, at 590 VOC. If you are in Newfoundland, especially the St. John's Metro region, the frequency will work there. If you're outside of that area, you can do it online at vocm.com. I'm usually just talking about news stuff because that's what I do. Today I got to talk about a bunch of politicians singing the Ode to Newfoundland. What a riveting day we had. You can follow me there. Shakespeare by the Sea is a theater organization that I'm involved with. I am directing a original show, not my own original, but a local theater maker has written a show called Picnic in the Backyard by Bailey Jackson. So please come out and support it. That'll be going this summer. I believe end of July through the first couple weeks of August. So please come out and support it. I'm very excited. It's a fantastic show. It's super wholesome. It's going to be outside. It's going to be great. And go see the other Shakespeare by the Sea productions, Romeo and Juliet and Much Ado About Nothing. Go enjoy. Go support my friends. But yeah, that's all I got.
Is there a show playing while I'm down? Maybe we can go.
Nah, it's a little too early.
Well, that sucks. All right. And, I am, on Instagram at the one and only JDV with underscores in between each word. You can find me on Twitter at the one and only JDV. And also, of course, you can find me on TikTok at Who Killed the Peacemaker, making tons of comic book content over there. It's lots of fun. And if you want to follow the show, we are on Instagram at 21st Century Cinema, on Twitter at TFCC Podcast, and you can use both of those usernames to find us on Facebook as well. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And if you made it through what is going to be around 2 hours and 15 minutes probably after I make a few cuts. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And we will see you guys in the next one where Joe and Noah will reunite. Maybe we'll videotape it and put it on social. We'll make it really dramatic.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you guys. Take care.